Wuju is just dozing off when he hears someone calling his name. He wakes up to this blinding light and sees a figure. Yup, it's his dad. Dad's like, "Sorry, I worked myself to death." Wuju is just standing there, speechless. His dad seems to find it funny or something, lounging like he's got all the time in the world. Wuju, freaking out now, is like, "Why all of a sudden? What about me?" His dad literally worked himself to death writing web novels. Then, Dad pulls out a glowing key, like a parting gift, and asks, "Can I settle with this?" In this dream, Dad leaves behind this mysterious key. Suddenly, some ominous figure tells Wuju not to worry, saying they'll protect him. We see silhouettes of what look like powerful characters, and they're supposed to be on Wuju's side. Wuju's totally confused and freaked out, muttering about the Demon King's army. 10 years later. Wuju's life doesn't look glamorous at all. He's dealing with overdue utility bills, looks like a real struggle. We see Wuju, all grown up now, looking pretty jaded. He gets annoyed by the heaps of debt notices stuck to his door. It's obvious life hasn't been fair to him. He mutters about getting kicked out because he can't pay rent, talking about just how unlucky he is. He crumples all the notices and throws them to the floor. As night falls, Wuju watches TV, while slurping a bowl of instant noodles. It's a bunch of infomercials, and on sale this time was an original version of the game, The Another World. Wuju's not impressed, he's sick of seeing it. There's one more thing that his dad left him, HVR or Hyper Virtual Reality. And Wuju's dad's web novel was the basis for this massively popular game called The Another World. Still, for Wuju, it doesn't change the fact that he's broke and can only afford instant noodles for every meal. He knows there's buzz about a limited edition book that came with a special key. He's surprised at how a book can cost as much as a good computer. He suddenly remembers the key around his neck. He recalls his dad's study, packed with his web novels. He heads inside the study to search, thinking about all the novels his dad wrote. He browses through the many books inside. He spots one that looks familiar, hardcover with the same design as the one he saw advertised, but it's a different story called Surviving as the Strongest in the World of the Strongest. He checks out the lock, and recalls it from his childhood. It struck him as overpowered fantasy stuff where the kids can beat up dragons. Now he has this key and wonders if it could solve his financial woes. Determined, he gives it a shot, hoping to change his fortunes, or at least pay the rent. He unlocks the book, half praying, and it opens. Out of nowhere, a glaring light nearly blinds him. The book sits there, open and empty, leaving Wuju in shock. The key seems to have disappeared and he's trying to figure out what the deal was with the book, when a holographic pink panel appears on his HVR set, special gift, for Wuju. It's like the game's talking to him, encouraging him to press accept. Wuju's just scratching his head at this point. Next, a daily quest pops up, telling him to deliver some wyvern eggs. This totally baffles Wuju, quests now. He decides to put off finding the key, and do the daily quest so he can earn some money. He's stuck in this low-level life but can't quit cause he needs the money. The system connects him to The Another World, and tells him to get comfy. As he immerses into the game, he tells himself to find out the market value of the key later. Then, a notification about a gift pops up again, and more questions flood his mind, spam or not? We get this surreal landscape as the game begins loading. Wuju finds the gift prompt, questioning if he should accept it. Annoyed by the constant notifications, he gives in and accepts it. There's another bright flash of light. Huh! He squints in confusion, trying to grasp what's happening. Suddenly, out pops a woman who looks disoriented and wonders where she is. Wuju is in shock. He tries to comprehend her massive black horn, her hair, her golden eyes. No way, he stammers, recognizing her from the game. Wuju blurts out her name. Lucia? This causes the Demon King to spin around, astonished that he knows the name of the great Demon King. The game's final boss, who made the heroes struggle till the end. Wuju is completely baffled as Lucia was not from this world. She was from a completely different web novel. He's amazed at how detailed the synchronization was. Lucia becomes more curious and demands, "Who are you, and where is this?" She explains she was about to be executed by the heroes. Wuju is utterly fascinated, noting speech style was spot on. Wuju decides to proceed with his daily quests, but Lucia interrupts him. "No way. Are you God?" she asks, mentioning that she was just about to be killed when he showed up. Wuju reasons that since he is the author's child, he probably is a god. So he decides to play along. Lucia tests his authenticity. She asks him what the first words she spoke 30,000 years ago were. She threatens to punish him if she finds out he's faking it. But Wuju remembers that this is the line Lucia says every time she introduces herself in the novel. "My magic eyes see everything," Wuju says. Lucia drops to the ground believing that she is indeed dead. Wuju reflects on the bizarre reality of their situation. Suddenly, a massive wyvern approaches, its scales glinting ominously. What? Wuju exclaims, as the beast lunges, causing him to freak out, although outwardly his face doesn't show it cause he has the iron mask skin upgrade on. The thought of losing experience and gold, and subsequently being unable to pay his bills, terrifies him. Someone, please save me! He internally pleads while the wyvern's screech pierces the air. Surprisingly, Lucia mocks the wyvern, calling it a mere lizard. Wuju's frustrated thoughts roll. Come on, she still maintains the concept in a crisis. Wuju goes all in. Great Demon King Lucia, I can't deceive someone with magic eyes like you. So yes, as you said, I am God. But he explains that he can't use his power on this world and asks Lucia to help him out. He thinks it's cringe, but in order to survive, Wuju tries to blend into the game's lore, but Lucia flatly refuses, stirring rising panic. Lucia explains how the hero sealed her power with cunning tricks, lamenting her restrictions while wyverns rage on. Wuju runs away, begging internally for the wyvern to target Lucia, his only survival plan. However, several wyverns close, leaving Wuju to curse his rotten luck. However, Lucia reveals a loophole that the heroes failed to detect. In a swirl of purple lightning, Lucia says she may not be able to use her power but she can bestow it on someone, which was how she created her Hell Legion. She cackles with delight. If you can't use divine power in this world, how about borrowing the power of this demon king? Purple tendrils of energy wrap around him, and Wuju feels a rush powering him up. Oh, what's this? My body feels so light, he observes. He disappears suddenly, leaving the wyvern stumped. Lucia looks up at the sky. Did you go there? Why are you in a place where you can't breathe? Wuju looks around, and freaks out. He seems to be in outer space. He marvels at the experience, and wonders where the wyverns are. He suddenly realizes that he can't breathe. Was the headset malfunctioning? Gasping for breath, he takes a step back. And he is thrust back into Earth facing the wyvern. Lucia greets him excitedly. Wuju struggles to comprehend it. What is this distance of one step? Lucia asks how the power bestowal feels, but the wyvern lets out a bit angry roar. Run! He tells himself, taking a step. He disappears as the wyvern chomps on him. Unable to control his newfound power, Wuju finds himself bouncing between Earth and space, trying to dodge the wyverns. Desperation grips him. He's thrust back into danger, constantly back to space, weaving through hazards. Feeling increasingly frustrated, the game becomes an almost insurmountable struggle. Wuju remembers Lucia mentioned power bestowal, her novel's unique trait. What? No way! He wrestles with disbelief even in the chaos. It finally sinks in that it really was the great demon king, Lucia, and that she was the strongest from another of his dad's novels. Wuju realizes just how bizarrely incompatible this has become. First things first, the strongest in the world of the strongest, where Lucia was from, was one of his dad's intense novels. It's so overpowered that even kids can catch dragons there. He remembers his dad all stressed about it. And if the strongest of the strongest in the novel, Lucia, was here, the power difference between that world and this world was just too big. The power levels are so broken that it's almost laughable. But oddly enough, it all sorta starts making sense to him. Now, he's facing off against these enormous dragons. He calls for Lucia, and she looks super unimpressed. Wuju admits he can't control the power she gave him and asks how to use it right. Lucia's like, do you really need to ask that? Just punch towards the sky so you don't destroy Earth. Wuju remembers some universal rule his dad wrote about, and it clicks. So, he punches the sky, causing this huge bam, but the planet stays intact. Lucia is watching the impact with mild surprise, noting they didn't destroy the solar system and that Wuju's power is like a mid-boss in a regional dungeon. He realizes that the whole habitat got wrecked and wonders about the wyvern eggs were still there. It looks like the eggs are still there, but he only has 7 minutes left for the quest. He decides to dash off to complete the quest, but Lucia is confused about his sudden move. He was about to take a step forward but stops. Wuju asks Lucia if she can remove the power she gave him. She's basically laughing in his face because it's permanent. Wuju didn't know this, so he's like, what? Because of that damn key, now he's stuck with these wild powers. Wuju insists she release the power because he can't move right now. Lucia mocks him and tells him he lacks training, making Wuju lose his temper. We start off at Wyvern Gorge, a place bathed in golden sunlight. It was a serene landscape, right until things went south. Quick flashback, one fateful day, the gorge got absolutely wrecked. Fast forward a week, and nature's starting to bounce back. Flowers blossom, bringing life back to the barren land. Kim Wuju stands dazed among the fresh blooms, taking it all in. He's awestruck by the resurgence. But then, he hears laughter, The wyverns are gone, and the daily quests have become easy. Wuju thinks, these guys are scoring new sneaks, and here I am, just trying to survive. Reflecting on his newfound power, he realizes it's been a rough week since he got Lucia's abilities. He still hasn't moved from the spot, struggling to control the power. A quick flashback to a week ago shows Wuju marveling at the sheer force behind a single step. But he's determined, he won't give up. Cue a montage of Wuju's past hardships, the hunger, the debts, the struggles. His resolve solidifies. He thinks, I am Kim Wuju, the guy who doesn't quit. Wuju decides he needs a strategy. He focuses on controlling his steps. Instead of full acceleration, he aims for calm and composed. He names his tactic, air walk, and tentatively, he finds it easier than he thought. He tests it and realizes he has launched himself into space again. In the spirit of a budding superhero, he refines his technique. He names another move, moonwalk, dragging his feet backward to control his actions. Suddenly, the ground starts to split and crack. He's left wondering why the ground's so fragile. This is ridiculous, he mutters, half laughing. He even jokes about growing wings and flaps his arms. Hold up, he is launched into space again. And then the sheer absurdity hits him, and he lets out a small breath. He realizes even his breath has power, and off he goes into space again. Enter Lucia in full, sarcastic glory laughs at him. Airwalk? Moonwalk? There's never been anyone as funny as you in the demon realm. She's amused, making fun of Wuju's techniques. Wuju blames her for his predicament. She's the infamous Demon King, a nightmare for all power novel characters, even causing Wuju's dad to have PTSD. Wuju's dad was so stressed out because he can't remember how to defeat Lucia. But then, determination shines through. He affirms to himself, I am Kim Wuju, the kind meant to wield such power. Lucia's unimpressed. If Wuju has something new, he better show it. As Wuju ponders his situation, he recalls opening that book, because he saw this limited edition item off home shopping. It all started with him accepting the quest and receiving Lucia's powers. His life changed the second Lucia appeared. Wuju's revelation, the reason Lucia is here is him. He needs to find a way to lift this curse. Pushing Lucia for more answers, he asks if this power could fade. Lucia assures him, it's permanent. But then there's this sneaky thought, what if she dies? Wuju lets Lucia think he's contemplating actions, but he has a plan. No choice but to. He starts. He's still piecing together his thoughts while Lucia keeps taunting. Confronting Lucia, he demands she understand the situation. A sudden fiery determination engulfs Wuju. He's ready to leave regret behind and take action. He tells Lucia he'll soon put an end to their conflict, but Lucia's intrigued rather than scared. She's caught between amusement and curiosity. Wuju, back in his room, sits with a sense of resolve. Holding on to that key, he's ready to tackle his curse head-on. Why did this necklace come back? He questions, but it's his second chance. He races to his dad's study, ready to find another original work to finish off Lucia once and for all. Alright, so Wuju dashes through the library like a man on a mission. He's decided he needs to summon a new, super strong character to take down Lucia. But what kind of genre will work best? Which hero? Wuju is sprinting down the aisles, his eyes scanning the spines of countless books. He's thinking about the best of the best. This is a crisis, after all, no time to hesitate, or he'd end up jobless. Not this either. Wuju mutters as he dismisses book after book, before finally grabbing one that catches his eye. I can find the one who will be Lucia's nemesis. A world's strongest who can be controlled, not just some man, he thinks. Suddenly, something clicks. Wuju's stunned expression says it all. This is it. It's dangerous, but there's no choice. He decides. It's a do-or-die situation. He knows he can't afford to mess this up. Just then, he receives a system alert. Kim Wuju has received a gift. A special one. Press the accept button, says the notification. Wuju hesitates, but finally goes for it. Next thing you know, he's in the Bipedal snowfield, a desolate, snowy wasteland with howling winds. Perfect, he thinks, adjusting to the cold and ready for action. Zero appears, intense, shirtless, and evil-looking. The timing's easier to understand than Lucia's. Wuju can see Zero's potential by observing the killer ranking on his shoulder. Zero is revealed to be from his dad's powerful Munchkin web novel. The narrative describes his insane agility, fast enough to kill billions in the blink of an eye. But Wuju knows summoning Zero is risky, yet inevitable if he wants to defeat Lucia. Lucia's taunting laugh echoes in Wuju's mind, pushing him to the edge. He's determined. Even in his training days, Zero was emotionless, a pure killing machine. Yeah, that's what I'm aiming for, Wuju confirms to himself. He opens the item box and grabs that special item that will make Zero his ally. He thinks about matching Zero with suitable clothes. Turns out dressing a killer can be quirky. Zero puts on the clothes Wuju offers and starts to adjust. Wuju shows a hint of compassion, calling him a poor thing, and hoping the clothes help him feel warm. Imagine that, Wuju offering comfort. But he's on a mission, so he stays focused. Once Zero feels the warmth of the clothes, Wuju tells him to come closer, explaining he doesn't want to risk harming Zero if he moves too quickly. Wuju connects with Zero, channeling memories and warmth, just like the female researcher Laura did when she freed Zero. This bond brings out a gentler side in Zero, even during fierce battles. Wuju gives Zero a pair of gloves, symbolizing his promise to be Laura for him. Zero feels overwhelmed, a mix of confusion and new emotions. As a reward for your suffering in the training camp, Wuju says, recalling how Laura's kindness transformed Zero. The story's original trajectory is altered. Wuju contemplates whether this new path will lead to bright futures and strong allies. The moment Wuju decides to take action, he finds himself tangled in a mess caused by his own choices. But just when you decided to live, you got caught up in this devilish development. Suddenly, Zero appears and embraces Wuju. The scene is serene, but the soft "oh" leaves Wuju uncertain of what lies ahead. He knows he's a prime target, realizing, "I'm definitely the number one person to kill." Zero's feelings are notably ambiguous, given his lack of gender awareness, but they resonate with Wuju's own thoughts. Despite the chilling cold, Wuju assures Zero, "This scarf won't let you feel cold anymore." Zero's face lights up with a mix of surprise and relief, enthusiastically shouting, "Yes!" Then, Wuju remembers the title of this deadly novel his dad wrote. It's all about assassins, themes of love mixed with danger. "The killers still love today," is revealed, set against a picturesque backdrop. Yep, it's a romance killer novel, of all things. Confident, Wuju feels he might have succeeded in his task. But uncertainty nags at him. "My conscience is bothering me a bit." He recalls a fleeting imprinting effect, thinking wryly. Like a baby duck recognizing the first thing it sees as its parent. But soon remarks it will wear off, not fretting much. For now, Zero must remain obedient. Wuju reflects on his struggle, cursing. "Because of that damn X key, I haven't been able to complete the daily quest for a week." Wuju refers Zero to his name, making sure he's on board. Zero agrees and Wuju remarks, "Good, it went as planned." But a daunting problem remains. The killer grade is still at level 2, and Wuju needs Zero to be at least level 3 to capture Lucia. He realizes a trial is necessary to level up. Mysterious, hulking snow rabbits suddenly surround them, their eyes glowing menacingly. Wuju exclaims in shock. "Snow rabbits! Horde incoming! It's getting real intense." Panic sets in. Wuju yells out, "Emergency! We're screwed!" But Zero appears eerily calm, confusing Wuju. Zero's laughter rings out, breaking the tension. He feels stronger, the power surging within. Wuju finds Zero's reaction annoying but recognizes its necessity. Suddenly, Lucia's maniacal grin looms over Wuju. Wuju steps up, ready to flaunt his power. "Watch closely," Wuju warns, as he prepares to unleash power. Wuju swings his fist towards the sky, creating a massive shockwave that shakes the ground beneath. Wuju questions why these creatures would hide underground. Bewildered, Wuju thinks aloud. "Did my power give them a hint?" Zero appears vulnerable at this moment. Wuju realizes he cannot attack underground and wonders if Lucia's power includes defense. Zero releases a wave of energy, catching Wuju off guard. Zero, laughing manically, gets upset when some snow splashes on his clothes. He starts to awaken. He looks at his scarf that got stained. Zero feels his awakening happen abruptly, his power level now visible. His stars quickly fill up. The true awakening commences, revealing a fearsome, radiant form. "Whoa! I am going to die!" shouts Wuju as rabbits close in. The burst of energy slices through the snow rabbits with astounding precision, completing the move titled 100 trillion cuts. Wuju, perching on what is left of Bipikal, looks around in shock and awe. He comprehends. Oh, so this is the effect of a 5-star ultimate skill. Suddenly, he pauses, realization dawning on him. Killer Zero used all his stars. An alarming thought strikes. Wuju notes the implications. Expending all stars leaves Zero defenseless. He urgently points. "Zero, your shoulder!" Zero's carefree smile deeply disturbs Wuju. Wuju, realizing they need Zero at 3 stars to capture Lucia, starts to dread their chances. Facing a daunting question as their final hope, Wuju thinks grimly. How will we catch her now? While later at the northern ravine area, specifically the Baipi snowfield, it's cold, windy, and Zero sits on top of what remains of the snowfield. He's got a cold look on his face, clearly deep in thought. He remembers Wuju's words to him. He feels pretty useless, a zero-star newbie in this world. Wuju reminds him that he's facing the great demon King Lucia, and that isn't exactly a confidence booster. Up till now, Wuju can't seem to figure out how Zero could pull off such a 5-star move like 100 trillion cuts. Wuju thinks hard, maybe there was a shortcut or a hidden method that wasn't in the original game's storyline. A full read-through of the web novel seems to be his only answer at this point. He tells Zero to wait, promising to return with answers. Now sitting alone on that icy pillar, Zero waits as the snow swirls around him. He has his special scarf, but he's still freezing. Suddenly, Zero's keen senses pick up on something. Ice bats. They fly around menacingly, not exactly the welcoming party you'd hope for. Zero is not about to let some E-grade bats bother him. He gets ready to show them why he's the best. As the bats close in, an absurd thought enters Zero's mind: what if these bats are out to steal my clothes? He imagines the bats becoming Wuju's new favorite in his clothes, and a switch flicks on. Zero launches his wire attack and kills the bats. Back in his cluttered study room, Wuju's not having much luck with his research. The one key method to boosting Zero's power quickly just isn't in any of his books. Frustrated, he thinks about the multiple times he's gone through these books. They should have all the answers. Wuju's getting desperate. At this rate, I won't clear the daily quests and I'll starve. He mutters, almost humorously. His stomach growls, agreeing with him. Maybe some instant noodles would help clear his mind. He considers getting up. At a local convenience store, a group of other players are chatting about the Baipi snowfield. Turns out, it's a no-access area and people are super annoyed. Some even died trying to get there. One of them remarks that they have no one to buy nicotine for them. Just then, Kim Wuju walks by. The girls gossip about his reputation as the shuttle specialist who will do anything for spare change. One of them admits he's tall and kinda decent looking. But another one laughs that he's just got this weird personality. The girls call out to him, basically asking him to buy some cigarettes for them. Wuju notices one of the girls. He's surprised that Lee Suki is there, but Suki shuts him down and tells him to mind his own business. Wuju tells her to return his dad's books she borrowed. The other two are surprised that they know each other and start the gossip. Wuju glances at the girl's phone and notices the news. Then, an unexpected noise interrupts everything. A delivery biker crashes onto the scene, and Wuju pulls the blonde girl out of the way. The biker doesn't stop and the dark-haired girl cusses him out. Everyone's just yelling. What just happened? The blonde girl seems taken aback, experiencing something strange. There's more depth to Wuju than she initially thought. She realizes he's not just some errand boy. And now, the rose-colored glasses are on as she thinks how freaking cool Wuju is. The article mentions setting materials and a place with information that couldn't be covered in the original artwork. He seems to be piecing together a puzzle. The dark-haired girl demands Suki introduce them to Wuju, but she shuts them down. Wuju says something about the demon king Lucia and Suki perks up. At the mention of the author Andromeda, her eyes widen. What initial setting materials? Are you talking about the ultimate villain, great demon king Lucia? She blurts out. Wuju mentions that Suki was a fan of his dad's, so she should know this. He starts muttering that the awakening of Zero might be found in some unpublished work. Suki grits her teeth at hearing all of this. Suki yells out, adamantly rejecting the idea of any unpublished materials because she's already checked everywhere. Kim Wuju stands firm, arguing with Suki. No, it exists, he declares with conviction in the middle of a heated discussion. Memories begin to flood his mind, taking him back to a place he really despises. He remembers his father, often too absorbed in his work to spend time with him, leaving young Wuju longing for days that never came. It was in his father's study desk where he would find the initial setting material. Back in the present, things are escalating quickly. Wuju tries to shake off the memories and focus. He rushes out, claiming he has important matters to attend to. Suki, left behind, seems incredulous at the idea, muttering how she's never heard or seen such things. But if those unpublished settings are indeed true, she muses, she needs to see them for herself. She's got a call on her phone. Speak, she commands sternly. On the other end, a voice confirms. Yes, Suki, it's Jason. The coordinates are set to Wyvern Gorge, signaling the beginning of something big. The plan is clear, eliminate the insidious presence lurking there. Suki, silent and contemplative, gears up for what's next. The scene shifts dramatically to the icy landscape Zero currently faces. He's just eliminated the last of the bats. He's stranded on a pillar in the bipedal snowfield, shivering and struggling to devise his next move. His body, battered and cold, reflects his mounting despair. The words of his handler at the training facility haunt him. He remembers his harsh punishments when he failed. His mind wanders darkly to thoughts that useless things are discarded. Zeros shouts in agony at this memory. Wuju's words insinuate come back to him saying he's completely useless right now. Wuju's eyes reflect his diminishing spirit. Suddenly, new threats appear overhead. It's an outsourced bunch of security guys called Team Griffin. They're puzzled by the disturbing remnants of Bipe Snowfield. They're surprised that Zero's player info window wasn't showing. Suspicious, they single out Zero and decide to eliminate him. "I'll eliminate it for now," calls the leader as they prepare their Griffin cannon, aiming directly at Zero. The leader checks and there are no signs of life. But Zero withstands the blast and has his wire around him. The team is taken aback. No way could he have survived that. Despite the attack, they prepare another shot, not ready to give up so easily. Zero is hit squarely in the back and coughs out blood. It looks like the magic cannon delivered the final blow, and Zero falls downward into the chasm. "We'll start a full investigation," signals the team, assuming victory. Zero is barely clinging on to life. But Wuju's voice echoes in his head. "Wait here, I'll be back soon," triggering his memories. His eyes snap open, adrenaline kicking in. As if possessed, Zero channels a newfound energy, as he grabs hold of the pillar to stop his fall. "Is it some kind of undead species?" ponders a voice from the Griffin team, underestimating the sheer willpower driving Zero as he climbs his way up. They launch another barrage of attacks, but Zero keeps on climbing with a tenacity that refuses to die. Through blurred vision, he sees flashes of his past, propelling him forward. The Griffin cannon fires relentlessly, but Zero uses every ounce of strength to persevere and climb. In a near-delirious state, Zero remembers a warm presence, one that brings a fleeting moment of comfort amidst the chaos. He fights on, feeling his strength ebb and flow. "Persistent bastard!" one Griffin member curses, readying another attack. Zero is at his limit, every part of him screaming to stop, yet he pushes forward. "Zero, wait! This is too close!" Another memory echoes within him. His past and present blur together. He must push on, every step a defiance against his fate. Zero's mind races as he feels the warmth of the premium scarf around his neck. "I'll say it again, this is a premium item," Wuju told him. It's warm and cozy, an unexpected source of comfort in this frigid environment. Promising to never let him get cold again, the reassurance echoes in Zero's mind as he feels a surge of determination. Zero's finally used up all his strength. And he lets go. From out of nowhere, Wuju appears and grabs his hand, preventing Zero from falling into the abyss below. "Are you an idiot?" Wuju gently scolds. "If it's really that dangerous, just avoid it for a while. Don't just stand there and get hit because I told you to wait." Wuju's face comes into focus. Zero is torn between exhaustion and the willpower to keep going. His body feels heavy, but he's still managing to hang in there. Wuju gives him a little encouragement, pointing out that he has been patiently waiting all this time. "Good job," Wuju says, eliciting a visceral cry from Zero. Unexpectedly, light energy begins to surge through Wuju's body, illuminating symbols on his arm. Wuju's pleased that Zero's now back to 2-star charge. "Don't worry, I have more clothes," Wuju tells him. But now, it's time to tackle the problems at hand. Wuju understands the complexity of dealing with Team Griffin. It's an outsourced company, but handling them could be dangerous considering their direct affiliation with high-level management. Even so, Wuju is livid and not ready to show leniency. "I don't care about that," he mutters bitterly. From afar, Team Griffin watches and wonders about the player attacking them. Zero contemplates sending the information back to the org, but he knows that's risky too. Instead, he has an audacious plan involving Griffin's own magic cannon. Using it might help Wuju avoid a player kill. Wuju steadies himself. He knows things are about to get real. Suddenly, he does a little twirl. The next moment, a mesmerizing spiral of energy encapsulates Wuju. The spiral continues outward, even beyond the earth. Seeing the swirl of cosmic magic, Lucia chuckles. "You're a funny one." She's watching from Wyvern Gorge. "Your power is weak, but you make a lot of noise." As the tension spikes, she smiles approvingly. "Well, you did well. You brought a useful subordinate." Her eyes filled with an unsettling gleam. She reveals her capabilities using her evil eye, which even Wuju's father feared. Back in Bipedal, Wuju materializes some items from his inventory and replaces Zero's clothes with new ones. But Lucia warns them of her formidable Demon King's army. She claims they're ready to conquer another world. Just then, a flash of red energy disrupts the scene. With unwavering boldness, a new character steps into the fray, declaring their arrival. This person, radiating fierce determination and energy, confirms the insidious nature of Lucia, ready to eliminate the threat immediately. So here's the scoop. The author of the book called The Another World was this guy called Enro. He had many other numerous web novel hits, and due to his overwhelming worldview and scale, had to make a few hard and fast rules. First rule, ground attacks? Absolutely off limits. Second rule, nature that is destroyed is gradually restored, and this game, The Another World, was no exception. Wuju and Zero are on the icy platform as bipedal snowfield slowly regenerates around them. Wuju marvels at the game's incredible recovery mechanics. Introspection sets in, envisioning the vast realm of the game universe. His immense power, a hindrance rather than a help, keeps him from clearing daily quests. It's basically a curse. But then, aha! Wuju recalls a slip of the tongue from Lucia. Turns out, if she dies, his curse might be broken. Kim Wuju checks in with Zero. You ready for this? Zero grunts happily. Wuju reasons, a direct attack might fail, but an assassination? Now that could work. He remembers that in Zero's novel, there was a plot to kill an immortal boss. Zero sneaks into his lair. The boss, unfazed, declares his immortality, but then, surprise, something shakes him. Boom! A 3-star skill gets activated by Zero, targeting the boss fiercely. This isn't just any skill, it delivers death not just of the body but of the soul. It's called permadeath. And yup, Lucia's in their crosshairs for this move. Yet there's a snag. Zero needs to boost from 2-star to 3-star skills charge. But Wuju found a trick in his dad's study, it's called Rage. When Laura got hurt, Zero went berserk. Rage is the trigger. Thing is, Zero's too cheerful at the moment, just whistling away. So Wuju's gotta find a way to stoke that anger. He goes all stern coach mode, questioning Zero's focus. And Zero, poor guy, tries to smile through it. But Wuju's like, nah, you need to push harder, get mad. But Zero only replies, smile. He wants Zero to feel that fury boiling over. Yet Zero's confused, struggling to get angry. Wuju brings out the emotional big guns, pushing him over the edge with some tough love. Trying different tactics to edge Zero into that rage state. Wuju wonders maybe because of that scarf gesture. Wuju's worried it's collapsing Zero's killer instinct. Alright, final prep. Wuju bets Zero's scarf in this assassination attempt. Zero's all flustered and finally looking all worried. Now he's understanding the gravity of their mission, and everything is falling into place. As Zero starts to emanate this fierce, red aura, he finally transforms. It's a full-on rage mode. He's charged up to the max. Ready for battle mentally and physically thanks to Wuju's pep talk. They hone in on their target, Lucia. Then, with a swift move, they get transported to Wyvern Gorge. Kim Wuju and Zero touch down on the rocky terrain of Wyvern Gorge. This is the Wyvern Gorge without wyverns. Lucia will be lurking around here, Wuju notes. Suddenly, a figure catches Wuju's eye. It's Lucia, but there's something wrong? I'm opposed to violence, Lucia shouts out, as this guy holds her by the neck. Why are you getting beaten? Wuju blurts out. Huh! The stranger responds, clearly confused and startled, giving a side eye of disbelief. Zero springs into action, launching himself towards the combatant, but instead of a straightforward fight, Zero ends up knocking the stranger down, channeling some serious strength. It's chaos, with energy crackling and bright, sharp lines etching the air. What are you doing? Shouts the knight. This is an obvious PK. Wuju tells Zero to stop cause he was attacking the wrong target. He notices that the knight's armor didn't take any damage. The voice is calm, but loaded with authority. The unidentified knight seems unharmed but ready to strike. Why are you interfering with my work? Demands the knight in golden armor. He looks towards the fallen Lucia, who's gritting through the pain. Disruptive presence. Totally agree. Wuju reflects, feeling disoriented. The knight asks what his intentions were. This can be seen as a PK attempt, declares the knight. Wuju's mind is racing, trying to piece it all together. His advice to Zero echoes in his ear, urging him to use hit-and-run tactics. Wuju realizes that with Zero moving so fast, it looked like he was the one attacking the knight. Lucia tries to stir up more trouble, implying Wuju wanted to conquer this world, and that he was a demon lord. Wuju can't make heads or tails of her dialogue. What is she even saying? Every single word is nonsense. Maybe she got hit in the head? Now the tables have turned, Lucia grins crazily. That guy even calls himself God. Flashback to their conversation a week ago. Really a god? Assuming I'm a god, I have to go clear this quest. Wuju casually retorts. Is she boasting? He wonders. Lucia, you're really done for. Just die. Wuju states coldly in his mind. But then, the Wuju interrupts, trying to explain that he was aiming for the demon, not him. Wuju cheers on the knight for support. But despite Wuju's explanations, the knight isn't backing down. Suddenly the knight remembers that he suddenly started attacking without introducing himself. "You know this game is based on an original work, right?" he shouts mid-attack. Jason Poulter of Just One, the security company, stands there like he's some big shot, explaining that he was the holder of a limited edition key. Wuju tries to remember where he's heard Just One before. Isn't that a famous security company? He's recalling articles about the rankers who took on high-risk quests. They've earned a fortune in this game, no surprise there. Just One was a personal security company. Suddenly it clicks, he's dealing with a top-tier executive who's misunderstood the whole narrative from the start. But now Jason Poulter is angry that Wuju was unfazed by his name drop. But Wuju is actually very terrified. He just has his iron mask skin equipped. Jason promises a beating. "A ranker attacking a nobody like me, really?" Wuju recounts in disbelief. His head spins with bewilderment, realizing how skewed his realities become. He can't even use the power Lucia gave him. If he kills a fellow player, he'll end up being hunted. He thinks about Zero. He follows orders well, so he'll stay hidden. Lucia just needs to be killed. Is this really the end for us? Wuju speculates. He thinks about the cup of ramen he couldn't eat. Jason throws a massive punch. What? Did I dodge that punch? Wuju is left pondering. It feels like he's floating. Did he die? Was he now a soul? Getting cocky after dodging once? Jason suddenly pops up beside him, aiming another punch his way. Wuju's surprised that he dodged this one too. Suddenly he spots a thin silver thread. It's Zero's wire manipulating through, proving invaluable. His thin, taut threads wrap around Wuju's frame like a lifeline. Wire marionette technique, used when rescuing hostages, was being used on him. How is this guy dodging again? Jason's getting more and more mad. Kim Wuju tries to engage and says, "Hey there, ranker." But Jason just yells back. "Shut up!" Wuju wants to talk, but no one's in the mood for chit-chat. Isn't this clearly PK? And pushes the other guy to think about if catching someone like him is worth it. Like really worth the career damage? Meanwhile, Golden Armor Dude, Jason Poulter, is confused and annoyed. Okay, now it's getting real. Jason tells him that it's now a one-on-one battle. "You attacked first, I responded, no complaints, right?" Wuju's like, "Huh." You can see him piecing it together. Then he says, "Then if I kill you, it's legal?" Jason's like, "Yeah, you jerk. This is a one-on-one battle showdown rule." Wuju is oddly relieved by the legality. Then Wuju realizes he didn't know about the one-on-one rule because he's only been clearing daily quests. Lucia, watching all this, calls him a slowpoke lackey but waits for the activation of something mighty. Wuju's not messing around anymore. "Yeah, let's do it." And boom, his power's unleashed. Jason slams his fist down. It's a proper spectacle. At the same time, Wuju punches Jason back with overwhelming force. The sheer power from Wuju is just off the charts. Lights, beams, the whole works. "Hold on tight," Wuju mutters. "Let's go on a space tour." Wuju's punch emits an energy so insane that even the planet looks like it's feeling it. Jason marvels at Wuju's incredible strength. But here's the kicker, it didn't even deal him a speck of damage. Wuju is shocked. He blames Lucia's power. It faded too fast, like coffee cooling under an office AC. Who would even want this kind of power? Wuju questions. Someone's really messing with my life. I won't let you go, Lucy, huh? Wuju sees Zero and he's surprised that Zero's cheering him on beside Lucia. Jason, hulking over him, asks, "What's wrong? Are you shocked your attack didn't land?" Jason taunts. He's got Wuju in a knockout grip. "You're trying really hard to play cool, acting like you're not surprised." "My expression? That's the iron mask skin sold in the store," Wuju tells him. It's keeping his face plain as a stone. "What? Did he misunderstand me because of this damn mask?" Wuju's mix of regret and panic is almost funny. "I don't care. I'll just crush that face of yours," Jason declares. Wuju's thinking. Peeling someone's face skin off, that's a little gross, dude. What was the penalty for this fight again? He racks his memory for that critical detail. The battle showdown comes with brutal stakes. Oh, so that's the twist, Wuju thinks. It's a character deletion match. As long as both sides agree, they can go on a one-on-one match. He recalls. Since it allows a legit player kill, it also requires a significant bet like the guts to delete your character. There's a draw option too, he realizes, but that's no comfort. I don't have the time to make a new character from scratch. Wuju has no choice, victory or bust. He has to secure this win. He lifts his finger to stop the punch. With Zero's help, Jason's punch is neutralized in an instant. He freaks out and steps back. Normally, other players can't interfere in these matches, but Zero's from another dimension and an exception to the rule. Wuju decides he'll use Zero for defense and deal the damage himself. He gears up for a follow-up hit. This time, I'll hold back a bit, he thinks. But can he handle even that? Wuju slams into his enemy again, not going full force, but it's still enough to rattle Jason. The punch sends Jason flying in a purple electric streak, rocking the entire battlefield. He circles the earth, screaming the whole time. He finally arrives back where he started and he's gobsmacked. What just happened? Jason's trying to catch up. Did he really just loop around the planet? Jason's mind spins. Your attack power is insane. As I thought, my hits aren't fully effective, Wuju declares. Jason expresses surprise. You have no idea about my abilities? This guy was even on a game ad banner, for Pete's sake. Wuju shrugs. Not a fan. You aren't into rankings with power like that? Jason persists. Oh, I get it. Jason smirks. He's seen this attitude before. You thought with this much power, you could just take it easy and wing it? Jason's words burn Wuju's thoughts. Taken aback, Wuju feels exposed. Like Jason can read his mind, picking apart every weakness. Jason calls out Wuju's inferiority complex, painting him as someone who gets all excited and then makes mistakes by overthinking things. Wuju's sweat trickles down. What? Don't hit me where it hurts all of a sudden. Wuju tears up with frustration. It's too on point, I'm not even upset. Well, fine, I'll remind you again, Jason remarks, confident that it won't affect the outcome anyway. Vision, Jason calls out. A number 0 lights up over his head. You know this mode, right? The one where damage is shown in numbers. Jason gloats. Yeah, an expensive item. Wuju hesitates. Go ahead and hit me again. I'll only feel good when your spirit's broken. Jason cuts deep with an evil grin. He gets punched before he could finish his gloating. Wuju's attack swells into a massive explosion of energy that sends light and sound waves even beyond the earth. Jason endures the hit but shows only a minimal damage of -1. Wuju, puzzled, mutters, The damage is just 1. Jason laughs, explaining, Any type of attack only does 1 damage. This is one of his limited edition Key's abilities, allowing him to take only 1 damage point no matter what kind of attack. Jason brags about becoming a top ranker thanks to this ability, boasting his HP 120,000. He mocks Wuju, daring him to see which will faster, Jason's HP being depleted or Wuju dying. Wuju pokes him, each poke causing just 1 point of damage. Jason unleashes a flurry of attacks and each time, Wuju counters with poke. Lucia calls this just 1 damage ability absolutely pathetic. She tells Wuju he just needs to keep hitting till Jason dies. She gives Wuju a mighty cheer to boost his morale. Zero chimes in too. Wuju wonders why those two keep sticking together when they're supposed to be enemies. Wuju confirms that Jason's ability really does deal only 1 damage point no matter what attack. His eyes shine bright like diamonds, realizing that even a light tap can deal damage. Wuju mentions a boss in another novel, Colossa, who wore a golden armor that regenerated 1 HP every 0.001 seconds. Jason's eyes widen in surprise at the mention of golden armor. Yet, Wuju claims to already know the counter Jason's ability. He calls out Zero's name, switching to attack mode. Zero springs into action. It's a special move that consumes 2 stars of Zero's killer power, called Midsummer Rain. A flurry of energy beams rains down on Jason, each dealing 1 damage. Wuju explains its purpose of scattering mana into the wires spread around. Jason looks up in surprise. Jason, surrounded and overwhelmed by multiple hits, yells out in frustration. He realizes that the attack also has a knockback effect and he can't get close to Wuju. Wuju continues his attack, noting that the technique hits 1,000 times per minute, giving them roughly 10 minutes until the match is over. Jason sarcastically states that he's got 10 minutes to figure out a counter, then inquires more about the golden armor. Wuju tells him it's an item from another work of the game's creator Aniclimax. He recalls how they managed to defeat the boss with an ultimate move called Midsummer Night's Winter Rain. But why are you so interested in the golden armor? Wuju questions, asking if Jason is a fan of the creator. Jason denies it, saying he just knows someone who can create such legendary items, and that's the reason he can never lose. Wuju is taken aback by this claim, while Jason roars in victory. Suddenly, Jason reveals the truth. He's wearing the golden armor. Wuju, in shock, mutters, "Wha?" Back in his apartment in the real world, Wuju demands, "What are you talking about? Are you saying my dad reused a concept from Colossa in this game?" Wuju whispers to himself. He's in disbelief. Such blatant plagiarism, Dad. So, Wuju starts thinking about his dad's last project. The Another World. He realizes, man, I never read the original work of this game. And bam! It hits him. My dad's final posthumous work. Turns out his old man overworked himself to death to get this game done. Wooju's totally in his feels, thinking this game took his dad away. But what really throws him is the idea of his dad recycling game concepts. Cut to Jason, yelling at Wooju. Hey you, the one with the inferiority complex. He taunts. Dude's mocking Wooju about the golden armor, admits he's the one wearing it. Then, in a burst of arrogance, he boasts. Do I have to show you directly for you to understand? He unveils a move called Double Vision, and it shows that his HP actually starts increasing. Yeah, he rubs it in. See my health increasing? This is the special ability of the golden armor. It recovers HP super fast. Jason's feeling invincible, basically nothing can touch him. The armor, coupled with his ability to reduce damage to 1 point per hit, makes him a beast. Jason, looking overly smug, asks Wooju. So, what do you think? Do you still want to try? Wooju's looking a bit determined, even the chaos around him can't shake his focus. Suddenly, he gets an email notification. It's from Suke. Wooju quickly reads Suke's email. Just then he spots something else. He has like 1,000,000 unread emails. The gears start turning in his head. He deduces, this attack is indeed a waste. He orders Zero to stop. That's enough. The match has been decided, he declares. Jason keeps pushing. Are you saying that you've tried everything? Wooju's like, yup. Feels pointless now. Lucia chimes in with a smirk, calling Wooju a slowpoke. She's oddly encouraging, saying Wooju's finally headed in the right direction. Wooju stares hard, determined. His thoughts loud and clear. I'll end this match with 1 hit. Meanwhile, Jason, in his gnarly golden armor, taunts Wooju that he is very nearly invincible, and he has no chance against him. Why haven't you acknowledged it yet? Jason sneers. Wooju signals Zero to stop his attacks. The showdown is over, Wooju declares seriously. Zero is surprised, but complies. The rain of mana slows down to a stop. Jason wonders why the attacks have stopped. Why? Will you not attack anymore? Wooju calmly replies. Yes. I think multiple attacks by themselves are meaningless now. Jason reveals the gravity of their battle. Do you think I will go easy on you? But Wooju remains composed. Zero rushes to Lucia in a panic, pointing at Wooju as if asking her to help out. Lucia reassures Zero there's nothing to worry about. His spirit hasn't been broken yet. He actually looks much calmer than before. Wooju then explicitly states, You seem to have a misunderstanding. I concluded that I won. Unlike you, Rancor, I'm willing to show mercy. How about we settle it as a draw now? Jason snaps. Shut up. Stop talking and just die. Jason's full-force attack seems unstoppable, but Wooju's decided it's worth the trouble to see it through. He decides it's time to settle things once and for all. He opens his email to unblock an avalanche of spam messages. Opening emails in the middle of a fight? Really? This baffles Jason. Wooju, calmly and with focus, replies, I'm just trying to unblock some spam emails. Then he drops the bomb. Unread emails plus $9.99. There must be over 1 million spam emails piled up over the past 10 years. Wooju was gonna unblock them all at once. Jason roars. Spam emails don't matter in this situation, as he charges towards Wooju. Wooju remains unfazed, dodging easily. In his moment of clarity, Wooju thinks, there's only one step left now. He lunges forward, clinging onto Jason. Jason's stunned and furious. You vermin, what are you doing now? Only for Wooju to defiantly state. Holding on to you. He tells Jason that the spam will come soon. Jason snarls. What? You keep saying. But Wooju, ever calm, replies coolly. Well, since I've won, let me share some info. He points at his face and reveals. I think we aren't on the same page because of this iron mask. Jason looks puzzled. Actually, it's to cover my real face. Wooju starts recounting. I started the game after my family fell apart, so I made this customization out of anger. So, let me know you what I look like. Jason's expression twists with confusion and anger as he takes a good look at Wooju's face. I called you a loser and vermin, so where is that inferiority complex hiding? Die, you piece of crud! Jason looks away in horror. Arg! What did I just see? My eyes! Lucia gasps in confusion and shock. She's shaking in disbelief. This sudden turn of events. It's too unexpected. I love how ugly your face is, Lucia declares, very excited. It matches the Demon King of Hell perfectly. Oh, she suddenly realizes, blushing a little. Is that guy the Demon King of Hell? Then after 30,000 years, I'm ready for marriage, she concludes. As the spam emails Jason loathed begin to pile in, Wooju feels satisfied. Okay, I've stalled enough time. Jason recovers from the shock. That scared me. I won't let you die easily now. He throws everything into a full power attack. I'll grind you to dust. Excalibur! He shouts. As Jason charges with his Excalibur attack, Wooju watches with a smirk. Spam emails are just starting to come in. Over 1 million spam emails will alarm you at once, so don't be surprised. Jason screams. Why do you care about spam emails when you're about to be deleted? Of course I care. Because I set the notification. Dramatically pausing, Wooju finishes. To vibrate. Jason's eyes widen in disbelief as the screen blares. Emails have arrived. Huh. He barely manages to gasp as the vibrations start. The vibration frequency is 40,000 times per second, explains Wooju. With your body that takes damage even from slight touches, 1 million spam emails mean instant death. Wooju declares that he's gonna name this technique fatal only to Jason, the finishing move, Spam Vibrator Destroyer Bomb. A catastrophic explosion ensues, brought about by the never-ending damage from the vibrations. Jason's HP plummets to an absolute zero from 120,000. The shockwave of 1 million spam emails causes a momentary ripple across the universe that awakens a dark egg that would bring a great disaster to the game. It also exposes the existence of another solar system inhabited by weird beings. Lucia remarks that even if it was such a BS way to win a fight, it looked pretty cool. Zero, too, is equally impressed. Jason's HP finally reaches zero, and he shatters into 1 million pieces. Wooju lets out a deep breath and asks, Did I win? He suddenly notices something shiny on the ground. Huh! He mutters, leaning forward to get a better look. It's a dropped item. He picks up the golden armor, seeing its stats flash before his eyes. This thing is a game changer, legendary status, insane HP boost, and self-healing capabilities. Jackpot. He knows he needs this for defense. I'll wear it immediately, he concludes. Meanwhile, Lucia and Zero approach to congratulate him. But something stops them in their tracks and stare for a moment. They both roar with laughter. Don't laugh, he says, trying to maintain his composure. But it's clear something's off with the fit. Why isn't it fitting? He exclaims. Stop laughing and help me, Wooju shouts. Lucia calls him the biggest laughingstock of the demon world. Back in the real world, high school bell rings. Inside the student council room, Suki checks her messages. What's this? Now you're ignoring messages? She murmurs, scrolling through. She looks uneasy about what Wooju mentioned about initial setup data. She glances over to her friends lying on beds, connected to a VR setup. She thinks of Wooju, calling him an idiot for clearing daily quests all day. Suddenly, a loud noise makes her jump. It's her phone buzzing. It's Jason. Suka straightens, her face serious. Okay. It's school, so please report quietly, she replies, trying to keep her cool. Jason's next message shakes her. Sorry to inform you, but I was defeated by an unknown entity. What? Suka mutters in disbelief. She feels a sharp pang of panic. You, Jason, she replies, trying to process everything. Just then, one of the girls, Jihai, sits up and removes her headset saying, I can't focus on the game. She blurts out, asking if Suka has known Wooju since they were kids. Then you must know where he lives. Jihai presses on. I'm thinking so much about Kim Wooju right now that I can't focus on the game. She sighs, feeling more stressed by the second. I feel like my heart's going to explode. I can't stand it anymore. Determined, she announces. I'm just going to confess today. She storms out of the room, leaving Suka behind, who's trying to process everything. The sun sets quietly over the city, casting everything in a golden glow. Something's brewing at Wooju's apartment. What? A confused voice echoes in the hallway. Hold on. I think I misheard, says an overexcited Jihai. Wooju responds dryly. There's no way we'd date as I said, he says, scratching his head. Why would I do that? He adds, as if the idea is completely absurd. But Jihai is persistent. But still, since I confessed, let's meet first and see. She trails. They stand awkwardly in the dim hallway. This is not the situation to joke around in, Wooju mutters. Joke? Jihai repeats, looking slightly offended. I have to clear this quest, so I'll go now, Wooju says as he abruptly closes the door. The door opens again suddenly. But Wooju's back only to say that he'll still be doing errands for them. See you at school tomorrow, he says, shutting the door back again. Jihai's face turns red with frustration as she leaves. She's trying to keep it together, but the anger's bubbling up inside. Okay, She mutters under her breath, stomping off in anger. She races down the hallway with determination in her step. She takes out her phone and starts making calls. How dare you reject me? She spits out, her eyes wide with fury. I can't forgive you. Minji, gather the guild members. She shouts on the phone. Back in the apartment, Wooju wonders if she left already. He feels a bit regretful because she was an important customer, but he greeted her so coldly. Now is not the time to worry about that. Wooju grumbles, putting on his headset hurriedly. Maybe if she had brought some lunch, he might have considered dating her. Suddenly, there's a knock on the door. Did she really bring a lunchbox? He thinks it's Jihai, back with some food. I've thought about it a few times. Wooju begins while opening the door with a smile. Landlady? He exclaims. The landlady's intense face fills the frame, clearly not in the mood for Wooju's antics. When are you going to pay the monthly rent? She demands. Wooju's scrambling now. Soon, his voice cracking under pressure. The stress is mounting. I was reaching my limit. Wooju admits to himself. My body's final period. Wooju feels the strain of not having enough money to buy food. Back in the game, at Wyvern Canyon, everything is peaceful and calm. He announces his arrival. Both Zero and Lucia rush to him. You're late, my demon lord number 1. Lucia calls out. Am I now a candidate for your future wife? She teases with a blush. Quit babbling, Lucia. Wooju warns as he powers up. Zero's stamina has recovered and he wants to end this now. Zero, finish it, commands Wooju. What? Zero stumbles, surprised at the command. Even though he's just at level 1, he has a pretty good chance. Wooju thinks. He remembers how weak Lucia was against Jason. She was summoned to this world just when her powers were sealed off by the heroes. In other words, Lucia is weak right now. Finish it, Zero, Wooju repeats. Wooju is determined to end this curse and his poverty by getting rid of Lucia. Just then, someone grabs Wooju's arm. It's Zero. He pulls Lucia closer to Wooju with him in the middle. Wooju looks totally taken aback. What's the meaning of this? He wonders. Is this a gesture of reconciliation? There's some tension between them, with Wooju blurting out that it's nonsense and he'll have to educate Zero later about being a killer. But of course, this was also part of Wooju's calculations. He suddenly launches an attack. Let's see how you handle the power I gave you, he mutters. Lucia looks unsurprised. Wooju's powerful attack shakes the very ground they stand on. But Lucia doesn't look hurt at all. Looks like in his assassin wire to stop Wooju's punch. He turns to look at Zero, who gives him a warm smile. You're not someone I can reconcile with, he yells at Lucia. Amidst the chaos, there's a reflective pause. Come to think of it, how come Zero at level 1 could block him? Could his power be gradually weakening? The thought of his power diminishing makes Wooju a little bit excited. He's excited to finally return back to normal and clear some quests to earn money. He tries a small step. Nope. Power is still the same, and he's launched into space again. Hey! Lucia calls out and puts an arm around him. She jokes that it's nice to see him trying to make her happy today. And she also mentions that the children summoned by his key seem to be forming unexpected bonds. The realization hits. How do they know about this key? Here. Accept this blessing before you. Lucia points to something in the area. It's a plaque outlining some entry guidelines. Evidence of the Demon Lord's founding, Lucia declares. A display suddenly flashes. Dungeon name, Wyvern's Abyss. Rank SSS Dungeon. Boss, Demon King Lucia. The dungeon has been created, Lucia announces with a flourish. Wooju is shocked. It's the first time he's ever seen a dungeon in this game. This is a sign of the Demon Lord's resurrection. Wooju thinks that if this dungeon is the same as in the web novel where Lucia is from, will truly destroy this game. Lucia credits him for this, saying that it's because Wooju brought her and Zero into this world, the start of a demon army. Wooju is super depressed now. He's already at his limit, and wondering if he should just quit the game. Now all that's left is to make money for you, Lucia announces. Wooju's eyes widen in surprise at the mention of money. Lucia explains that, after all, dungeons are a business opportunity. Wooju still doesn't get what Lucia is talking about. Lucia explains that dungeons are lands of opportunity. There will be countless adventurers aiming for the treasures and riches of a demon king. Wooju questions if Lucia even has any treasures or goods. Lucia replies, nope. But just by collecting the entrance fee, they could earn a lot of money. Wooju's still not convinced. Lucia adds with a sly smile that they could sell potions as well, urging him to hurry and finish the dungeon. Don't say such ridiculous things, Wooju says, materializing something from his inventory. Do you think I'll be fooled with such sweet talk? I'm not such an easy person, he declares while gripping it. With a determined look, he puts on his hard hat. If you're going to persuade me, you have to tell me in more detail, he says seriously, shovel in hand and all. He asks if they should start construction right away. Wuju thinks to himself. I said it's the limit. Because I couldn't endure it. As Zero and Lucia look at him with warm smiles, he realizes that this is the moment that he officially became a demon lord. A few hours later, Zero's wire looks to be spread out in a grid. With the wire mesh spread out, Wuju can move around a bit. How do you know this? He asks Lucia. This demon eye sees through everything, answers Lucia. And that's not all she can do. A surge of energy bursts forth from her horns, which she then channels into the construction site. What's this again? Wuju wonders. You'll find out soon enough, says Lucia, cryptic as ever. A tendril of lightning escapes from the one lighted square, and creates another square above it. More tendrils branch out, making more and more copies of the square. Wuju's amazed. It's just a guide map though, Lucia mentions. It's to show where Wuju needs to dig. Consider it an honor, Lucia exclaims and orders him to start digging. What? Wuju says in disbelief. Wuju can't believe there are so many. Yep, there's a lot of digging to do. Wuju asks Lucia what she's doing, lying down by the sidelines. Great demon lords don't get their hands dirty. She yawns. Then the bombshell. It's only on the first floor, hurry up. Why does it feel that the hurdle has gotten even higher? Wuju thinks to himself, as he digs throughout the day. Wuju's hard at work, smashing through the terrain. Lucia's not impressed. Why so slow? How are you ever going to make a fortune like that? Wuju, on the other hand, is starving to death and ready to give up. There it is! A voice suddenly echoes throughout the canyon, cutting into Wuju's desperate thoughts. Found you! Yells. She got the information from Sukhai where to find Wuju. Jihai yells angrily. How dare you dump me? I brought all the first-year guild members. She promises to teach him a lesson. Wuju looks up and remarks how there were so many of them. Scared now? With a swirl of power in her hands, she taunts. It's too late for regrets. Jihai leaves room for Wuju to change his mind. Wuju covers his face with his hand for a moment, thinking things through. He doesn't feel good about it. But then a flash of insight strikes him. Zero and Lucia's eyes widen in surprise. Ah, but Wuju remembers something crucial, and he's psyched. In fact, he's thrilled. He's taken off his mask and a malevolent smile creeps up his face. He's finally found a way to break through the limits that have been placed on him in this game. Wuju recalls the standard dungeon in his father's web novel. It's hallowed ground where players' lives hang by a thread. But the higher the risk, the sweeter the prize. This is the legacy of the Demon King. The scene shifts to an aerial view of their dungeon layout. It's intricate and vast, and they're seriously lacking manpower for such a colossal task. Above them, Jihai hovers with her team members. Kim Wuju, you're going to learn your lesson today. Wuju starts shaking, trying to hide his laughter. They actually came all this way. He chuckles. Lucia looks at him lovingly. You're out. That face. It's a life or death crisis, and Kim Wuju can't believe his luck. He's got the perfect solution. A ball of electrical charge starts building up between Jihai's hands. What? Not even impressed after seeing who's here? Things escalate quickly. Jihai challenges him to a 4 versus 1 showdown, stakes and all. Whoever wins gets whatever they want. Wuju's been through these showdowns before, but this time it's a 4 versus 1. He finds out Jihai is serious about letting him get whatever he wants if he wins. Another fighter whispers, doubting if Wuju will go for this match. We wouldn't get anything from that dirt poor beggar, would we? But Jihai is all in. I sure do, she exclaims. Minji can't believe they're doing a 4 versus 1. It would be embarrassing even if they won. Then she remembers Jihai telling her she was going to confess to Wuju. It's clear she didn't take the rejection well and is just taking her anger out. Jihai is now demanding a decision from Wuju, calling him a lackey who's crazy about making money. Wuju interrupts her, asking if this was all she could muster. Where was Suki? Shut up! Jihai snaps. You think someone like you could get her involved? It's a shame, Wuju says. He was short-handed in his dungeon building efforts, and he wanted more players. Jihai has convinced Wuju like Suki, and it makes her even more angry. Her teammates are weirded out by her strange obsession. Just tell me if you're going to do the showdown or not, Jihai screams. Well, duh, I have to. Finally, Wuju accepts the challenge. So now the battle is set. It's Kim Wuju, who wants some free labor, versus the guild, who wants solidarity, probably. Jihai, charged with energy, shows her admiration for Wuju's boldness. You're gonna be mine, she declares. She shoots her electric ball into the air. Wham! Energy! Lucia, who is watching from afar, gets up curiously. She wonders what that skill is. She's never seen it before. Wooju is also trying to analyze it. Was it a long-range magic attack? Normally, this would have been a terrible matchup, but now that he has Zero, he has plenty of solutions. He calls out to Zero, who's ready to jump in. But Wooju is suddenly surprised. Your aim is terrible. You're unexpectedly clumsy. Wooju mocks Jihai, as the electric ball falls meters away from him. It's headed for the gyre, a turtle-like creature from this valley. It was quite weak at F rank. The electric ball hits the gyre and suddenly, the creature transforms. Wrapped in energy, it lets out a powerful growl. It's grown! Realizes Wooju. The encyclopedia pops up, confirming its evolution. It's now an A-rank mature gyre. Wooju wonders if it aged into this new form, figuring out that it must have been Jihai. He asks her if she was evolution sorcerer, which was a rare profession in the game. Are you just realizing it now? She murmurs. Vengefully, she scolds Wooju for not seizing the opportunity she gave him earlier. Jihai sends her evolved monster to attack. The massive beast obeys and charges at Wooju. Wooju acknowledges Jihai's ability is a nuisance, but remains confident in close-range combat. He charges in, fists ready. He's not intimidated, he's faced worse before. You must not kill that creature! Lucia suddenly commands from behind. Capture it and make it my servant! Lucia explains capturing monsters is crucial, filling the dungeon with resources is one of their primary duties. Capture this one? Wooju yells, clearly confused. Are you in your right mind? He thinks to himself. The ground trembles and cracks as the creature's massive attack strikes. Wooju mutters they are in the middle of a 4-on-1 showdown, and unless he's a professional hunter, he has to wear the gyre down before capturing it. He also thinks that he can't control his power yet and might kill it. Wooju decides to use the surrounding chaos to his advantage. He calls out to the guild members and asks what they were doing. They're in the middle of a showdown, and they're just standing around? He thinks he might be able to use the enemy's attacks against them. The others are clearly annoyed by his taunting. A warrior attacks Wooju, commenting on why Jihai wants him gone. Wooju wonders aloud about the reason while dodging attacks. Another enemy mockingly asks, "What else?" calling Wooju unbearably smug. The fierce opponent tells Wooju to drop dead, but Wooju has other ideas. Using his fingers, he deflects the enemy's attacks, and points them all towards the gyre. A flurry of attacks hit the gyre, and its HP goes down significantly. Wooju's opponent questions if he's enjoying this, even if they're losing. In the heat of battle, Wooju maneuvers skillfully, sending all their attacks to the gyre until it's weak enough to be captured. Jihai yells at Minji to attack too. She attacks with an ice arrow. Ice shards rain down around Wooju and the creature. He notes that they possess ranged magic but remains undeterred. Wooju's approach is swift and decisive, aiming to finish the fight quickly. The scene erupts into a chaotic ballet of strikes and counters, with everything deflected to the gyre. Suddenly, all three attack at the same time. This is getting tough, Wooju says. Wooju positions himself right in front of the gyre. He quickly dodges and all the attacks hit it. He taunts them some more. What? Is this all you got? He yawns and says he's starting to get tired. It becomes evident he has pushed their patience to the limit. An enemy mockingly suggests he should rest. Wooju makes them angry enough to unleash their strongest skill. Phoenix Smash! Shouts one enemy, while another yells. Moon Swings! It seems like an all-out, last-ditch effort to put Wooju down. But Wooju simply twirls his hand. And a whirlwind of fire and energy swirls forms, becoming bigger and bigger. His enemies wear expressions of shock and horror as Wooju shows the extent of his power. Wooju, undeterred, channels his energy to deliver a concentrated blow on the evolved creature. He realizes that he can't rely on others' attacks every time. A thought enters Wooju's mind. If only he could summon that jerk. An image of ominous creatures with glowing eyes flashes through his mind. Then he would be able to revive monsters that have turned to dust and make them servants. He remembers his key and decides it's time to put it to use. But first, he needs to deal with the battle on hand. He throws the large fireball downwards. Zero's prepared to lend support. The fireball falls and is caught in Zero's silver thread. It's stopped by the thread before it hits the ground. A powerful yank from Zero follows, and the fireball is thrown back upwards into the belly of the suspended gyre. I don't like it! A voice yells, and purple power emanates from her, and goes straight into the gyre, and it explodes. The opponents react in disbelief at the turn of events. As the dust settles, Wooju opens his display and prepares to capture the monster. But it seems there's another surprise. Rising menacingly from the ground, a gigantic, serpentine figure. Wu Ju stares at the creature. Only Lucia can summon something like this. Even in Lucia's overpowered novel, this was known as a transcendental being or disaster. A ferocious face emerges from the dust. Are you insane? Summoning the black tortoise here? Wu Ju shouts. The display quickly reveals that this creature's name is Nightmare Cody, a god-level black tortoise. The god of the east, Xuanwu, with a height of about 1.5 kilometers. It's just a bit unfair, isn't it? Someone mutters while watching from a distance. It's Suki. She sneaked in after hearing about Jason's defeat and after hearing about unknown monsters suddenly appearing. She identifies the lady with horns as the Demon King Lucia from surviving as the strongest in the world of the strongest. And Zero's here too. From the killer loves today. There's a dungeon being built in Wyvern Gorge, something only Demon Kings can do. And the most shocking thing for Suka was that this chaos was orchestrated by Kim Woo-ju, super nerd and the school's errand boy. What the heck was he thinking? Everyone's freaking out. A mob without registration info? That's unheard of. Jihai, despite being an evolution mage, doesn't know squat about this monster either. Then wham, a close-up of Xuanwu's masked face as he looks down at the tiny creatures. The beast contemplates how familiar this place feels. Xuanwu tries to remember. He was on his way home, but he was suddenly transported to this place. He zooms in on Lucia, calling her the unpleasant person who blocked his way. You can tell how ticked off he is. Xuanwu isn't playing. His punishment is going to be severe. The creature slams his tail into the ground, sending the players flying. Watch out! Yells one of the crew. It's totally chaotic and even Lucia is shocked. The explosion's impact is massive, almost natural disaster level. Just then, something catches Xuanwu's attention. With Zero's help, Wu Ju was able to block his attack and protect Lucia. Lucia's just lying there, not moving and chuckling that Wu Ju ended up saving her after she gave him the idea of earning money from the dungeon. Money really is something, isn't it? She cackles. Wu Ju tells her it's not about money but about summoning a disaster-level beast into this world. Lucia calls his bluff. So it was about money? It's the first boss monster to be laid in the dungeon. It wouldn't be a great dungeon if they just had easy monsters, that's why she summoned it. Wu Ju knows this is not going to be an easy feat. This creature could easily destroy a whole country. Even in the original web novel, it was called a disaster, and now she wanted to capture it. Wu Ju's annoyed. But then, Wu Ju thinks about it some more. Lucia's not wrong. He's a truly unique existence in this world and might drop valuable items. He decides he's going to try. Xuanwu is intrigued. Why is a human, especially one from a no-name backstory, holding his own? Suddenly, Jihai jumps in, trying to assert her control, calling herself the evolution mage. She orders the beast to attack the red-cape dude. But nah, Xuanwu isn't listening to a mere human. He sends out bolts of magic that electrifies the players. Minji feels her magic points draining rapidly. She screams that she's out of MP and can't fly at this rate. She's falling and freaking out. Nope, Wu Ju ain't letting that happen to his dungeon manpower. He's got a mountain of things to do post-showdown, his body can't handle that on his own. A gust of wind blows everyone around, causing chaos. They're blown into the dungeon and fall into Zero's net. They're all surprised because they didn't suffer and fall damage because of the net. Jihai berates the creature for almost killing its master. Xuanwu thinks they all survived by sheer luck. He starts charging up some serious energy. Zero, hurry up! Wu Ju urges, as he jumps on top of Zero's wire. Zero leaps into action, giving it a mighty pull that sends Wu Ju flying up towards the monster. He positions himself near the Xuanwu's energy ball and prepares to deliver a devastating blow. Unaware of what's happening, Xuanwu's all godlike and tells Wu Ju he's allowed to speak. Too late. The orb's already zooming toward him, and it smashes through his face. The massive blow reverberates through space. A strike that pierced the sky? Xuanwu is stunned. It even went through his ironclad body. What are you? He exclaims. Wu Ju calmly explains this was Lucia's power, though the creature has never met her yet. This time he reveals he'll just use the tiniest fraction of his power. Xuanwu's dismissive and zaps Wu Ju with his own power. Wu Ju's a bit surprised at the feeling. Like he's losing something. The draining energy intensifies as Xuanwu holds Wu Ju in his grasp. Minji points out that it's a technique that drains MP. Minji's worried that if Wu Ju is drained, he'll fall. Wu Ju realizes it too, as he pulls up his stats. Xuanwu scornfully asks how it feels to be powerless. Wu Ju's response? Meh, I don't use MP. Xuanwu doesn't believe him, and boasts that he is godlike with infinite regeneration, taunting Wu Ju's mortal limits. Xuanwu thinks, honestly, this guy is a potential nemesis to the gods. He must be eliminated quickly. His attention shifts to Lucia, lying lazily on the ground. Then I'll eliminate the one who mocked me and caused this horrible disaster, the main culprit. He glares at her. This whole situation's getting the best of Wuju. Despite the tension, there's a part of him that feels strangely excited hearing Xuanwu's threats. Wuju takes a quick glance at his HP and MP stats. His MP is 0. But he seems almost relaxed, saying something like, "You're so proud of draining MP that I don't even use." Wuju sees this as the reason. To activate the dungeon and weaken his body, he needs Xuanwu. Wuju announces that he wants to end it quickly. Xuanwu tries to argue, telling him they're in the middle of a conversation. He reminds him that he is an immortal being with infinite regeneration. Wuju isn't fazed though. He snaps back with, "It doesn't matter. How about gritting your teeth?" Xuanwu, being all high and mighty, calls it a foolish waste of time and offers Wuju another chance to reconsider. But Wuju's having none of it. "I said no. This divine beast talks too much." Bold, but that's Wuju. Then, mid-threat bam, Xuanwu's just like, "Die already!" Xuanwu unleashes his divine secret art, 10 tails. Meanwhile, the crowd below is clueless, struggling to see through the dust and chaos up above. Lucia, amused by the spectacle, finds it so splendid and cheerfully thinks that business looks promising. Zero also looks pleased at the outcome. Suke, still observing from afar, is flabbergasted that the beast was taken down in one strike. Suddenly an alert. 3 years passed? Says Suke, like what the actual heck? Turns out, that Wuju's power, given by the Demon King Lucia, was so powerful that even though only 0.001% of it was used, completely annihilated the divine beast. The result? The wind pressure from that power accelerated the Earth's rotation, literally changing the planet's pace. Time speeds up so crazy that 3 years pass by in an instant. Xuanwu, now reduced to a tiny speck, wonders if he faced complete annihilation. But it's okay, he consoles himself that godlike beings like him can still resurrect after 3 years. "Eternity never withers," he declares with a grin. He turns around to face a gigantic Wuju holding a sphere. "Then captured?" Wuju asks. With a tiny click, there it is, a "Capture complete" message on his screen, sealing the deal. Confusion erupts in the game command center. There's total chaos in the game. A dragon appeared 3 times in a row at the Hell Cliff. The eastern region is overflowing with goblins. It was a monster overload. Back in Wyvern Gorge, the bewildered players shout in confusion as they grapple with the sudden regeneration of a flock of wyverns. They're thrown into panic mode. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Kin Wuju descends into the fray. He unleashes a powerful attack, scattering the monsters. He lands in front of them with a flourish. He nonchalantly asks the struggling players below, "Almost got hurt, didn't we?" Wuju remains laser-focused, talking about his desire to finish quickly and start working. So this is how the 3-year-long showdown comes to an end. Wuju stands victorious. His reward? Free labor. All the guild members get to work at the dungeon, and construction moves quickly. Finally, the dungeon is completed. The rules are up. And the neon signage switches on. The 3 of them look at the dungeon with pride. Lucia is proud of their achievement. "Hey, Kim Wuju!" calls out Jihai, catching his attention. They're not too pleased with how things turn out. "No matter how I lost the showdown, how can you exploit me like this?" She yells and demands for another face-off. The rest of the party members beg her to quit it. "That jerk erased the wyverns without a trace," the red-haired dude mutters. He also mentions that he wiped out that summoned creature. "He's definitely hiding his power. We aren't a match for him." He concedes, deciding it's time to bail. "If you want to do more, do it alone, we're leaving now," they declare, turning their backs. Jihai calls out to them to stay for a moment, but ultimately decides to follow them. But not without threatening Wuju that she'll see him at school. "Yeah, please promote this place for me," Wuju replies, as casual as ever, as they wave goodbye. "That's not what I meant," screams Jihai. "I'll get my revenge." Suddenly, a figure blocks their way. "That'll be difficult," a digital voice intones ominously. "This data is so unsettling that we have to take it back," the figure intones as it plucks something from Jihai's head. It does the same for the rest, asking for understanding with a chilling calmness. The hooded figure bids them a pleasant gaming life, before making their move, vanishing with data chips in hand, erasing memories from the last login. The players awaken in the real world, disoriented, and find themselves abruptly logged out without any memories of the past day's events. The mysterious logout sign flickers as each of the players vanish. The figure approaches and calls out Wuju with his user ID Tinto the Universe, and asks him what he was thinking, doing something like this. "Are you planning to threaten the peace of this game?" The figure questions, face still hidden. It seems like you summoned the Demon King and the dungeon from another dimension. The figure accuses Wuju. Wuju begins to panic. He thinks it's a customer and asks if he should make a reservation for the dungeon. But the figure wasn't having any of it because causing chaos in the world is a serious crime. The figure introduces herself as an agent of order and one of the management of the Another World game. Management? Wuju echoes. Someone from management came, even thought the dungeon isn't open yet? Oh no! Wuju thinks to himself. He's worried that they're here to ask for taxes and rights to his dungeon. Sensing the tension, Zero moves in to neutralize the threat. The figure warns him to stay right where he is. If you move, your heart will be pierced, and you will die. The figure's voice cold and threatening. The agent instructs him to quietly return to where he came from. Wuju's mind races. How did this agent know who Zero was? Does she know something? Lucia, using her demonic eye, confirms the figure's words. I can see it clearly with this demonic eye. The threat isn't just nonsensical, it's gravely real. She warns Zero to be still, as a spear is aimed at his heart. Zero reacts with a shocked wow as he stares at the deadly strike. The agent asks Lucia if she can now see the Grim Reaper looming over them. If you are the great demon king Lucia with the demonic eye, you can see it. Lucia's not impressed. Death is a common presence hell, after all. Lucia tells the figure that they were such a crybaby then, but quite impressive now. The agent, incredulous, questions this label with confusion. In a flashback, a young girl cries over her favorite character's death in a manga. Suke? Wuju calls out in disbelief. He remembers a memory of a young Suke running away and threatening to go rogue when her favorite character died. Lucia decides to rub it in. Back then you were an unreasonable child. But you've grown up well. She smiles. Suke only mutters while Wuju still can't believe it's her. But wait. The cloaked figure denies knowing that name. Says they're part of the management. Wuju calls her out, recounting that her mom and her had been there since the beginning of the game. Wuju's sharp, though. He notices a pixel art emblem on her mask and instantly connects the dots. He points out that it's her favorite character, and that emblem was a birthday gift he gave her. Oops, looks like she's busted. Wuju tells her to quit playing games and help him fill up his dungeon with mobs. He'll give her some discount coupons in return. Suke wasn't having it. Instead, she asserts her authority, and tells him to eliminate all external elements from the game. But Wuju's facing issues. Daily quests are piling up, rent's due, and his curse won't let him complete any tasks. Wuju's got a plan, though. He's betting everything on this one shot. Zero and Lucia are amazed at Wuju's greed. Lucia, especially, is giddy at the awakening of a great demon king. Suke remembers that the horrifying skin was customized when Wuju was full of anger at his dad's work. She declares that her power of foresight shows a grim future and resolves to eliminate all beings from outside the game. Wuju warns that she cannot beat him. His power is beyond the scope of the game. They argue back and forth about this. Suke insists his power does not matter, but Wuju insists that it does. It finally devolves into a shouting match. I know what your ability is, that's why I'm saying it. Wuju finally declares while powering up. Flames literally form around him as he asserts his point. Once he catches her, it's game over. Suke insists that it's impossible because she already has control over Zero. Wuju says he doesn't need Zero, and starts going through his item inventory, searching for something. Suke asks him what the heck he was doing. Looking at the items that will drop when he dies? She tells him if it's bribe, to forget it. She's not budging. Found it! Wuju finally says, and shows an item to a surprised Suke. It's a fox item that matches her face skin and shoulder mount. This item would complete her fox emblem set. Suke struggles to remain composed as she tells Wuju to hand it over. But Wuju tells her to come closer instead. Wuju's dead serious though. Still playful. Lucia remarks, knowing fully what the plan was. This emblem scenario takes a turn. Wuju threatens to drop it, if she wasn't interested. Since it's older than 3 years, it's gonna disappear once it hits the floor. It's cheap, Suke says. So what if it's cheap? Wuju replies. Has the future changed? Suke tries to argue. But Wuju drops the item and Suke reacts by diving for it. Suke is giddy with happiness. This one and only item was her favorite character. I caught it! She shouts. But wait a minute. Wuju's now standing over her with a sinister smile. Wuju quickly yanks her up. What's wrong? He asks Suke menacingly. Did she not see a future of her getting caught if she went after the emblem? Suke's eyes look on in terror as Wuju shows her what would happen next. With one step, Suke is brought out into the universe. It's scary. She can't log out or reach other admins in her comms. And staring right in front of her was a supermassive black hole? Suka's mask falls off. She's fallen to the ground and screaming. A system notification pops out. The system announces Wuju's new title. It's one who made the admin kneel. Suka. A gentle voice calls out. Wuju tells her that her imagination's too much. That's why she gets overly emotional with her favorite character. Wuju gently requests that she leave them alone to do their thing for a while. Suki is stunned. The game is so vast that anything can happen. He asks if Suki can turn a blind eye on them for a bit. Then Wuju hints at invoking another hero into the game. Blood Demon Supreme from the Martial Arts Chronicles web novel is the next target. Suki trembles. Their heart races. She knows this character from another one of Kimida's work. Can Wuju really bring him into this game? You seem interested. Wuju remarks. Wait, can you summon anyone regardless of genre? Suka exclaims in shock. Yep, Wuju confirms and points to Zero and Lucia. Seems Wuju's team hasn't caused significant issues yet. Curious, Suka asks if he can summon her favorite character too. Wuju affirms its feasibility. The characters are usually pulled out right at the point where they die in the novel. Suka's face lights up in pure joy at the possibility of meeting her favorite character. Now I understand, she cries. Wuju jokes with her sweetly that she's always been like that since when they were kids. With a climactic offer, Wuju asks, So, what do you think? Want to join? Yes. Okay, let's go. They all cheer as they march into the dungeon. Somewhere within the game, in an eerie, rain-soaked fortress, a secretive meeting was being held behind closed doors. There's no problem? Someone exclaims. Inside, some big shots in the game are freaking out. Bipedal Snowfield has vanished completely. And to make things worse, the investigators they sent went MIA too. Talk about a double whammy. They're all gathered around a table, looking deadly serious, discussing the game's top-ranking player Jason who got his character got deleted. Whoa, how did that happen? One of the admins, Balanso, is all worried because Jason lost this crucial golden armor he made. Suka tries to downplay it by saying Jason dropped it during the character delete, so they didn't think it was weird. But in her mind she earlier wooed Yu showing her the golden armor and asking how to wear it. She tries to reassure them that any movement of this expensive item will be detected. They chatter about checking the black market. Then another high-powered player, Wild Kiwi, ranker number 9, comments how surprising it is that Jason actually took a hit. Another player speaks up that unless you were a key user, there was no way to lower Jason's defense. She continues speaking that even if it was a big incident, all they've heard were only rumors of a mob outbreak. So are you saying that there's no problem? What did you see from the future? The woman asks. Her name is Jane, the ranker number 2. Suka plainly states that what she saw was that the game and the world of its characters should not become reality. She remembers her earlier conversation with Wuju, convincing her that the game was so vast that anything can happen. It shouldn't be predictable. That's what makes the game fun, doesn't it? He explains. Suki declares that management only supports changes that makes the game more enjoyable. If you don't like the game board, you can reset it, she says. Didn't you dominate this game in that way as well? She bids them goodbye and wishes them an enjoyable gaming life. Jane is deep in thought, playing absent-mindedly with a wilted flower, slowly bringing it to life with her powers. She concludes that the administrators are trying to overlook this event and treating them lightly. It doesn't sit well with Wild Kiwi either. She's like, why don't we just go beat them up? But Balanso suggests they send a tracking team to follow the golden armor's energy. Wild Kiwi volunteers to lead the charge himself. Jane just looks on silently. She can't believe that the server wasn't able to predict an event that would paralyze it. Could it be that the admins want the board to change? She ponders. She reaches out for the flower again. This time, it's enveloped in black smoke and disintegrates. Jane is suspicious that Suka is involved. They need to find out if this is the will of the other admins, or not. Meanwhile, away from all the admin drama, Suka busts into Kim Wuju's room. She straight up asks if he's ready. Wuju's all like, yeah, I just found this rare, limited edition book. Nostalgia fills the room as Suki notices nothing's changed since Wuju's dad died. Suki gets googly-eyed looking at the study overflowing with unreleased author materials. Wuju's like, let's focus, keeping her on track. They delve into this martial arts fantasy novel Wuju's dad wrote, Blood Demon Hell Record. Wuju's plan becomes clear. He's going to summon this big bad entity, the Blood Demon, known for creating zombie armies and taking on the 9 major sects alone. Wuju needs this power so he could fill the dungeon with zombies. Suka questions if Wuju can control the Blood Demon. She brings up last time he summoned a powerful entity, noting the chaos it caused. Wuju doesn't have the luxury of time. He needs the money to pay his bills now. He's calculated the timing of the summoning. There's no time to hesitate. Let's go, he declares, as a flash of light fills the room. Suddenly, the scene takes a dark, misty turn. An ominous creature floats in a pool of water. Did I survive? He mutters. The blood demon recalls the sneak attack by United Martial Artists. There's this vivid flashback of him falling off a cliff. He's mad as heck, swearing revenge. He's pretty messed up though, bleeding internally and barely holding on. Suddenly, a small voice calls out. A kind servant boy from a nearby inn shows up, wanting to help. The demon's like, well, this is convenient. He reaches out a gnarly hand to grab the kid, and apologizes as he takes over the kid's body. He needs a vessel in order to be reborn. The blood demon activates the rebirth spell. He's only just going to borrow this body for a moment. A bright light pierces the rainy darkness, and the blood demon opens his eyes. Did I succeed in rebirth? He questions. He's really been summoned. Wuju and Suki are watching closely. Both look amazed and a bit terrified. Wuju explains that he picked Volume 1, which involves the blood demon borrowing a servant boy's body so he could be reborn. Suki questions if this is really the blood demon. The young boy, with wide eyes, is startled. Huh? How do you know my name? He accuses them of being assassins from the martial world. Suki mocks the boy, calling him pathetic, but Wuju warns. Watch your mouth, the real blood demon is still inside him. The boy, shaking with rage, counters. You didn't think I wouldn't hear it, did you? And threatens to turn them into corpses. He activates his power. But since he's in a little boy's body, nothing really happens. Suki, charmed by the boy's appearance, exclaims, He's so cute! While holding the transformed servant boy. The demon suddenly remembers. I forgot that I borrowed the servant boy's body temporarily. Wuju instructs the boy to control his energy first, otherwise, his blood vessels might burst. The small demon retorts, How dare a brat lecture me? But acknowledges the truth in Wuju's words. As the blood demon tries to regain control of his powers, he realizes the servant boy has faint inner power. First, he says, focusing. I'll take care of the one who mocked me first, he declares, while slicing a finger of power at Suki. Did you just hit me with those tiny hands? Suki laughs at the adorable attempt. The boy tries attacking again but gets outmaneuvered at every turn. Suki is even more charmed at his stubbornness cuteness overload. He's shocked that Suki reads his moves so accurately. Wuju then steps in, questioning the boy's power management. Then he tosses him a seed. The boy struggles to comprehend the situation as another seed attack forces him to dodge. What's this small seed? The boy wonders, struggling to grasp it. Are there still powers hidden in the martial world that I don't know of? He thinks, trying to understand. Kim Wuju praises the boy. Next, he tells him to infuse his inner power into the next seed. He looks calm in the game, but in reality he's panicking. He needs to end this battle now. The blood demon resists. Suddenly Wuju calls him a lackey. The boy's eyes widen at this word. Wuju scolds him, asking who saved the blood demon in the midst of rebirth, and shouldn't he be taking better care of the body he borrowed? The blood demon is really confused now. Suki steps in. Are you going to whine to us again, you lackey? Suddenly, realization hits, there are only two people who call him that. If it's them, they would indeed read my moves, he admits. I thought I fought the martial world alone. The demon continues, reflecting on his isolation. A tear starts to fall. But you were watching! Overwhelmed, the servant boy apologizes profusely to his supposed masters. This foolish disciple greets my masters, he finishes, bowing deeply. Disaster, the blood demon thinks, doesn't always bring bad results, as this event has brought him back to his masters. Wuju and Suki, both original fans number 1 and 2 respectively, exchange knowing looks. Everything's going well so far. Wuju reminds him to focus on the seed. The blood demon obeys and infuses the seed with his power until it cracks. The seed explodes, releasing a wave of energy. The seed was destroyed? Suki asks in disbelief. Wuju explains that's the power of the blood demon. Suki uses her power to see the future. The blood demon martial arts start from death, Wuju explains. From the dark earth, writhing forms start sprouting and growing. It's done, Kim Wuju confirms with finality, as he secures another power move. He's satisfied that this power can revive mobs and turn them into undead. From now on, this will be business capital. He will completely sweep up the dungeon's minions. Blood martial art, third form. It's insane. This technique literally makes lifeless seeds spring up and turn into little minions. Blood Demon's Jiangshi necromancy is a terrifying technique that allowed the Blood Demon to take on 1,000,000 martial artists by himself. As the Blood Demon's number 1 fan, Wuju feels excited experiencing it right in front of him. But there's a danger, and that kind of power requires a heavy responsibility to control and manage it. Wuju's friend, Suki, jokes about how she should be schooling him on this. But hey, it's not who says it first, it's about who can handle it. But the banter doesn't stop. Suka and Wooju keep bickering about this and that. And the blood demon, this little guy, just watches them. Your couple's quarrel is still the same as ever. He smiles. Today, they're at the goblin forest. They tried to summon some creatures. But they're tiny and barely packing a punch. It's too weak, no damage at all, says Wooju. The Jianshi necromancy technique relies mainly on the strength of the body, not just the person's power. The blood demon scolds the little things for disrespecting his master. It's okay, Wooju just summoned them for transportation anyway. Wooju is getting serious, revealing why they're in this forest at all. The little beasts shuffle along, moving painfully slow. As they enter goblin territory, Wooju checks with his tiny minion if they sense anyone around, and turns out, there are two presences. Wooju explains that they are not human. They're the creatures of this world called goblins, red-ear goblins to be exact. They have devilish faces but are quite tiny, says the blood demon. A back and forth ensues, Wooju's poking fun at the demon because his possessed form's even smaller than these goblins. Try making those guys your underlings, Wooju commands. Yet Master Blood Demon isn't keen on having these tiny creatures as followers. Wooju advises him not to be intimidated. But the Blood Demon protests. He's one of the greatest in the martial arts world. Why would he be intimidated? Wooju explains that his necromancy manipulates corpses to the extreme, but the catch is he hasn't yet controlled anything living. This has the demon questioning things. Is his master planning to train him to be an even more complete blood demon by controlling living creatures instead of corpses? He's speechless at his master's amazing foresight. Time to spring into action, there's no wasting opportunity here. Blood Demon bounces off to confront the goblins. The goblins, meanwhile, just stare forward, clueless. Blood Demon decides to give it a shot to get them to follow him without killing them. Fear's often the key. Frightened, the goblins might end up worshipping him. He remembers his past life, where less than 100 of his undead army took on the whole martial arts world. Fear will eventually lead to worship. Blood Demon lets loose his majestic aura, waiting for the goblins to fall and worship him. Confused, they hand Blood Demon one of their clubs. Why are they giving him weapons? Did they think he was one of their kind? Nearby, Wooju can't contain his laughter and lets out a snicker. Suddenly, chaos strikes. A dark ogre emerges, eyes glowing green. The Blood Demon's concerned. This ogre is emanating killing intent. The goblins scream in panic. The dark ogre smashes his club at the goblins. The poor goblins know they're in trouble, and wave Blood Demon away from danger. You guys, Blood Demon murmurs. If the martial arts world had shown even a tiny bit of compassion like these goblins, maybe a monster like him would never have been created. Blood Demon psychs up for battle, meets the dark ogre, riddled with thoughts of darkness. He shows off some Blood Demon moves like palm whip and palm grip. Things get intense real fast. The drama peaks, and with one final move, the ogre explodes. Blood Demon's anger turns to the goblins. How dare they make the mistake of thinking that he, a noble being, could be a lowly being like them? He calls them worthless and tells them to scram. The cheeky goblins appear bewildered, largely unsure what just hit them. All they know is this tiny guy just saved them from a dark ogre. They hoist Blood Demon on their shoulders like a king and carry him through the forest. Blood Demon's not sure what to do now. Wooju notes that making allies is just part of the mission, and orders Blood Demon to keep going. Huh! More orders coming in? Says Blood Demon. Suddenly, there's a loud horn. Trembling goblins give it away. Something huge is about to happen. He demands to be put down and calls to Wooju for help. Wooju is laughing, kind of relieved but knows they barely pulled it off. Anyway, Wooju recalls that ogres and goblins have major battles in this forest every full moon. Players just usually come here to loot empty camps. But this time, he's going right into the heart of the battlefield. His plan is to teleport using the device he planted on Blood Demon's collar. The plan? After the battle, turn dust from all the ogres and goblins into resurrected Jianshi, then take all these mobs and place them in the dungeon. It's a sinister kind of genius. But then, the sky cracks open. Wooju surprised at the intensity. That's definitely the blood martial art kicking in. Wooju decides to teleport in. He touches down in a raging battlefield, and heads to the area with the most bodies. He looks around in surprise. The field is chaos, bodies everywhere. Wooju looks on, surrounded by cheering goblins. Towering in front of him is a pile of bodies, with the Blood Demon at the top. Little guy, Wooju murmurs. How did he subdue all the ogres so quickly? The dude's not supposed to handle internal energy like this yet. The growth rate is ridiculously fast, Wooju thinks. Just then, Blood Demon notices his master. Their little reunion scene is quickly overshadowed by yet another surprise. Enter the Goblin Lord, this beefy, C-class monster, who's apparently the boss around here. He's holding a crown. He lays it gently on Blood Demon's head. A cheer erupts, the goblin crowd goes nuts. Blood Demon is confused. A few moments later, Wuju finds Blood Demon teaching a goblin how to swing a club properly. Wuju reflects if it's that time. There's a part in the original novel where the Blood Demon takes on his first disciple while in the servant boy's body. It seems that the attention has turned towards the goblins. It's probably better to keep him busy like this, since the Blood Demon isn't too loyal, compared to Zero. Wuju plans to pump up these goblins to their fullest potential before they turn into Jiangshi. This strategy could be a goldmine. Meanwhile, Blood Demon is praised for strategically fulfilling commands. Wuju grandly declares a change, the Blood Demon's taking on a new role. Stay here and be king of the goblins. The chapter kicks off with the protagonist being reminded about their training. It's like, didn't I tell you not to slack off? In the Blood Demon's original novel, he finds this kid who's quite the martial arts prodigy. He keeps pushing the disciple, ensuring he gets better and better, driving him to train harder. This desire from the original work is manifesting. But the Blood Demon's focus now is training the goblins like mad, and it's making their army more powerful than ever. In another part of the game world, a shadowy figure runs through the rain, and it's clear something serious is brewing. Wild Kiwi joins Balanzo's team, promising to be solid backup. The squad leader, Jiaiwook, isn't thrilled about it, calling him a scatterbrain. There's tension. He's not too pumped about Wild Kiwi's attitude. Wild Kiwi taunts him, reminding him it was she who kicked him out of the rankings. Jiaiwook counters that she only got into the rankings by luck. That sets Wild Kiwi off. She threatens to show him who's boss again. One of her eyes open to reveal a tiny glowing creature, as she activates Seal Strike. A lock appears in front of Jiaiwook. I put a stop on you so you can't use your petty tricks! Wild Kiwi yells while closing in for an attack. But Jiaiwook cleverly trumps her trick, by logging out and evading her attack. It's like watching a maneuver-packed chess game in the rain. The little guy comments about attacking without setting the showdown rules. Well, he's done a lot of player kills in this game, so it doesn't matter. The little guy remarks that she didn't win that round. Jiaiwook's suddenly behind Wild Kiwi, ready to strike. But Kiwi still has Anther trick up her sleeve, as another hole opens to reveal a tiny blue guy. Crack strike! It announces, and lightning bolt connects with Wild Kiwi out of nowhere. Jiaiwook is able to avoid it. The two continue bickering until one of the men interrupt. They have orders from Balanzo to go on ahead if the siblings start to fight. An uneasy truce forms between them. Turns out, they're not just siblings. They're fraternal twins. Meanwhile, Kin Wuju and the Blood Demon arrive at the dungeon entrance. Wuju introduces it as Dungeonopia, the symbol of adventure overflowing with dreams and hope. Blood Demon's not too impressed. Zero brightens up at the arrival of his master. But wait, what's this? Wuju's praising Blood Demon, patting him on the head. Blood Demon's all thanks. But there's something else on Wuju's mind. The original plan was to resurrect the goblins and ogres left on the field after the war, and fill the dungeon with these undead creatures. The Blood Demon has grown too attached to the goblins, seeing them as his disciples. At that moment, Wuju notices Zero. The sight of his master praising someone else has him all amped up. A face-off begins, with intensity crackling in the air. Blood Demon calls him a pup standing up to a lion, but there's a thin line between bravery and folly. Wuju tries to defuse the situation by picking Blood Demon up. Meanwhile, anger and jealousy are building up within Zero, charging up his star meter. Suddenly, our protagonist pops 2 stars. Talk about leveling up. But Blood Demon has slipped from Wuju's grasp. Yep, things are escalating quickly. Skills are being showcased. Blood Demon's impressed that Zero can change directions freely midair. Zero's killer wire is also as impressive, made up of intangible hard chi. Looks like Zero's giving Blood Demon a run for his money. But this body has its limits, and there's always a danger of overdoing it. An explosion of energy illuminates the area. After, there's a pause, characters catching their breath, pondering their next moves. Suddenly, Blood Demon is yanked away. A cute one has arrived! She exclaims. Rude! Complains Blood Demon. Wuju taps Zero on the shoulder. Looks like Blood Demon is on par with the 2-star Zero in that little body. He pats Zero on the head and praises him. With a calming pep talk, the chaos settles down a touch. It's a strange little gathering under the moonlit sky. Wuju calls Lucia over to check on some things. Blood Demon's still kicking up a fuss, so Lucia stuffs his mouth with something. He starts rolling on the ground and cries out dramatically about being poisoned. Plot twist? Nope. It was a taste test meant for Lucia, and she's now fed it to Blood Demon. Wuju now turns to Blood Demon. So how's it taste? And now the kid's realizing the bold flavor and the sweet texture. Blood Demon's face lights up. He wants more. He's stressing out, wondering if it's some love potion or what. Potion, that's a good name, thinks Wu Ju. Unfortunately, Wu Ju can't give him more. It's a paid item. The item also seems to have replenished Blood Demon's energy and healed his wounds. What kind of sorcery is this? Wu Ju finally reveals that it's an essential item for dungeon exploration, an energy cookie called Boom Boom Potion. This thing's pitched as the future's hot item. But Blood Demon wants all the cookies for himself. The sugar rush created in his little boy's body was too addicting, and he wanted more. The reactions are pure fireworks, an explosive reaction, literally. Looks like this item is destined to be a bestseller judging from how excited Blood Demon and Zero are. Back in the real world, the landlady's finally found out the secret path he's been using to avoid her, and is hounding him for rent. But with this dungeon business, he might be able to pay off all his bills in one go. Or maybe he should just buy the whole building? He smirks. Oh my, someone spotted a stupid face they find charming enough for marriage. Group energy seems through the roof with vibrant auras bursting out around them. Just then, Suka logs in. The cookies are just jerky potion with the skin changed, right? She chuckles. And the pricing's too much. You can't find cheaper potions with other merchants. But this one has a special edition design, argues Wu Ju, showing Suka's favorite fox character. That's it. Suka's sold, she's buying all of it now as long as her beloved fox character's on it. With the dungeon opening imminent, everyone's just all fired up. A few days later in the dungeon, preparations are underway. Kim Wu Ju, yanking out his guidebook, starts pointing out key spots, this one, that one, and a few more. Let's kick things off with the dungeon map, he says. The plan? Place all the monster balls they gathered all over the dungeon. With the dungeon dead as a doornail, monsters need to be set to guard each area first, Wu Ju figures. Weakest ones lead, growing stronger as adventurers progress. He carefully clicks the first monster ball, looking as determined as a general plotting a battle. Starting simple with the first guardian, he decides to use the Seedling of Gyut. The surprise hits him, the environmental transformation. The background even alters to match the monster's habitats. That's some next level simulation. Wu Ju's impressed, and a bit in awe. He preps for the next stage. He'll place the silver ogres that were wiped out in the Goblin Ogre War. But now, throwing in ogres feels like an odd jump from easy seedlings to hard mobs. The logical step is some low-ranking goblins, but they've gotten too strong. Blame the Blood Demon for that mess. The next stage involves wyverns. The strength scaling is confusing, it's like putting goblins as a surprise finale. Wu Ju finishes arranging the lineup in a rough draft. His planning board shows all stages neatly, which means it's final boss time. This final boss is no joke, it's the current dungeon heavyweight. Inside the game operation planning headquarters, a meeting is taking place. They're trying to sort out the recent mess. The outsourced agency guy's Griffin Eyes is still missing. Bipedal Snowfield has been restored. The 3-year bug has been fixed and compensation provided. Feedback loops around, with some wondering about the purpose of all these updates. Is it even a report? Seems like a checklist instead of analyzing the cause, says the game master Analaw. Suki, also a game master, argues that since the appearance of all these magic keys, analyzing causes has become meaningless. Meaningless? Analaw smiles chillingly. With personal grudges in the mix, Analaw claims bias toward her daughter. She's had enough. Game Master Moon Yoke mutes the lady. Moon Yoke decides to leave things as is for now, to create tension among the key holders. It might lead to an emergence of so-called game changers, which they always wanted to happen. Suka's thinking. She got herself bribed again with those snacks. Wu Ju knows her too well. She's too lost in her thoughts, until her mom thunders. Prophet, any answer? Looks like mom's really mad now. Back in reality, Wu Ju takes on a different sort showdown, rent issues. His landlady's banging on the door, ranting about overdue payments. His landlady's none other than Analaw, who's really furious about the meeting and looking for someone to vent her anger on. Wu Ju's nonchalant replies throw her off. How about she forgets the rent and sets up a meeting with a real estate agent to discuss buying the building? Talk about a power move. The landlady/Analaw is shocked. What's with this kid suddenly trying to buy her off? The landlord is left utterly puzzled, as the door gets slammed in her face. Back at the dungeon, Wu Ju reveals his aspirations openly, feeling no need to hide ambitions anymore. He gets the item shop open, picturing the profit down the road. Now, let's escape poverty and enjoy the premium life, Wu Ju declares. Lucia just loves this rotten ambition driven by wealth. Now it's time for the dungeon opening. He powers up the dungeon core, unleashing a brilliant beacon of energy. Explosive, isn't it? This marked the grand opening of dungeons in the game. A bright new chaos, maybe the start of everything. The pillar of light grabs everyone's attention. It's like a wild, magical show out there. Dungeon A's entrance sign flickers on, the dungeon hallways light up with an electric buzz. It's like a red carpet entrance, but with more mystery and danger. Dungeonopia is officially open to the public. Wuju slips on a little mustache disguise, ready to sell his wares. From today, we'll be busy, he announces to his team, excited about the chaos to come. He asks them to have a rest in the staff room for now. Lucia jumps in. Call it the Demon King's Castle, not just a staff room. With a flip of a switch, they disappear into the depths, heading to their posts. Lucia's not happy at being abandoned, and why is this castle so small? Patience, he says, it'll grow from a staff room to a proper Demon King's fortress one day. But for now, he has focus on being the best merchant. He practices his opening spiel. Welcome to Dungeonopia, filled with dreams and hope. But day one passes, without a single customer. As the dawn creeps over, reality kicks in. There's no foot traffic here. Is it because wyverns are extinct and no one's coming here for quests? Looks like his hatched plans are struggling. A sudden rush. Someone storms by, finally, a presence. There's a dungeon here? The customer asks, bewildered. Wuju, caught by surprise, stutters a nervous welcome. Welcome to Dungeonopia. You can use the shop before entering. Would you like some help? He splutters. It was Wild Kiwi. Are you a peddler? She asks suspiciously. Things get tense when an assassin crew shows up. Jiawook's got a knife pointed at him, threatening a PK. Jiawook scolds his sister for barging in before them. Wuju doesn't care. These were his first customers. While they're arguing, Wuju reaches out and flicks the assassin's knife. It's chaos, as it hits someone, and flies out into the universe. Oh dear, your items are damaged, Wuju remarks, glancing at their broken weapons. The assassins are shocked. Wuju pitches his shop's charm, offering replacements, grinning as his inner merchant shines. The assassins yell that these are all free or worthless items. But the pushy backdrop grows menacing. No matter how many items you have, eventually you'll have to buy. The shadowy thought looms. Wuju's eyes flare with confidence. Because a born merchant like me will break each one of them. No holds barred. The drama shifts with a knowing, crooked laugh from Wild Kiwi, seeming pleased. The root of all problems, it was you, wasn't it? Wild Kiwi accuses, pulling out her massive weapon. A sniper locks in his target with a skill called Sure Hit, making dodging almost pointless. Even if you try to evade, this move just doesn't let up. It's a relentless attack aimed straight for the heart. Wuju, with his fast thinking, gets reminded that arrows are limited, they're consumables. As the arrow flies straight to him, he's worried. Someone taunts Wuju, asking if he's scared of being PK'd. Enter the Balanso Hands Assassin Squad, where killing is, confusingly enough, allowed. Talk about an extreme PvP zone. He warns Wuju that he's not in a position to be relaxed. This is where things get dicey. Under stress, Wuju mutters a quick "No" as he reaches out for the weapons. But here's the twist, what had Wuju really worried were the assassin's blades. He doesn't want to destroy it because he intends to sell them after the fight. He flicks a few of them, and they're all broken. Oh no, there's not much stock left. The assassins are in shock. Weapon destruction? He avoided the sure hit skill? You were the one who took the golden armor after Jason got deleted! Wild Kiwi exclaims with glee. The confusion is real. This, golden armor, is a puzzle everyone wants to solve. Golden armor? Wuju asks, feigning ignorance. It's a dungeon boss clear reward. Do any of them want to try? The attackers maneuver around Wuju, who maintains focus on not losing sight of his inventory. This crazy demand to hand over the golden armor intensifies the showdown. Meanwhile, Zero and Lucia are down at the lounge. Lucia calmly asserts to leave Wuju to handle things this time. The scene moves back to the game operation planning department. Suk is worried. She wasn't expecting this. Top rankers and Blanso's assassins were the first dungeon customers. If the golden armor is discovered as a reward in the dungeon, she'll be in trouble. Someone mentions the fox emblem on her shoulder. It's her mom. She remembers it's the prophet/Suka's favorite character. They switch to whisper mode. Too many ears listening. The editor/mom talks about the masterpieces and hardships in Androkimeda's works, expressing regret that she wasn't able to stop him from dying of overwork. Troubling insights surface when Kim Wuju, Androkimeda's son, enters the conversation. Editor also reveals that Jane, the top-ranked player, has been asking around why management has ignored the anomaly. The prophet must have her reasons. But editor warns that Jane is a dangerous player, waiting for an opportunity to pounce and take control of the game. Don't show any signs of weakness. She advises her daughter and walks away. Kim Wuju, do your best, Suka wishes in her mind. Wild Kiwi's pretty tough, but there are worse guys in Blanco's assassin squad. Back in Dungeonopia, someone suddenly yells, "Wait!" halting any immediate conflict. A small older assassin tells them it might be useless to keep fighting. The dungeon's aura matches the shopkeeper's aura. The conclusion? Because of the shared aura, the shopkeeper might just be an AI human that's part of the dungeon. So that explains why the sniper's usual sure hit skill couldn't break through. Jiwook's not sold yet. If he's just an AI, how'd he destroy an A-grade item? With eyes twinkling, he showcases items for sale to replace his broken sword. As others squabble over whether Wuju is AI-controlled, real or fake, the focus shifts back to the golden armor leaking its aura, a breadcrumb too tempting not to follow. Wild Kiwi's super interested now. A dungeon fee seems like a small price to pay. Jiwook's still suspicious of this shopkeeper. He wants to deal with him first. But wait, Wuju calls out to buy some items before they go in. "Buzz off, coward!" Kiwi yells to her brother. "Let's hurry and take all the glory," she says, swiping to pay the dungeon fee. They forge ahead, barely pausing to catch a breath. With coins tallied and progress ticking, Kim Wuju's hope rockets as he gains first profit from the madness unwinding around him. He's tasted the sweetness of success. He's so happy that his mask slips off a bit. Jiwoo only sees it from the back, but it gives him a really bad feeling. Seeing that ugly face also sends shivers down Lucia's back, but not in a bad way. But she's determined to endure. She can't wait for him to become the Lord of Hell and be her husband. She must endure it till the end. Deep in the dungeon, the atmosphere changes. The air's charged, and assassins sense it, a menacing calm before the storm. They reach a door, expecting mobs along the way, but it's eerily quiet. The golden armor's presence looms large. Just beyond that door, points the old dude. Kiwi breaks the door down. The group's running ahead, and it looks like they might hit the jackpot without any interference. But hold up, what's this? Did they go through an exit door? Confusion reigns, as they find themselves in a lush green forest. It feels familiar yet strange. It looks like the Goblin Forest. But is this reality or just some fancy illusion? The sniper fires up into the air. It makes contact and reveals the ceiling of the dungeon. It's augmented reality. It looks so real because of the immense power used to create this dungeon. Suddenly, the Gyuts emerge. No data available. Nothing about their power, level, or even habitat. It's an unknown species, an undiscovered monster. Talk about going in blind. The cool hair designs and wild nature? They really can't predict this creature's power. And just like that, their numbers grow. The archer scrambles to shoot. They need a plan, fast. But Wild Kiwi's not interested, she's only focused on the golden armor. She tells the sniper to handle the small fry. Then boom, these creatures dive in without fear. The sniper's freaking out as these monsters' abilities are unknown. Wild Kiwi doesn't care. Just stall then. Buy some time till her brother, Jiwook, catches up, then they can defeat them together. A blush creeps up the sniper's face. Leave it to us then. She smiles giddily. The other assassins wonder if she'll be okay on her own. Ah, youth. As Kiwi and the rest of the team charge ahead into uncertainty, Sniper Girl's all serious with her role. She apologizes to the Gyuts. She has to finish them off before the boss comes, so she can have him all to himself. Tension rises as the creatures close in, their glowing eyes locked on the challenger. I'll take you all on! An audacious voice roars as she rushes into battle, fearless and full of spirit. Meanwhile, at the dungeon entrance, Wuju and Jiwook listen to the sounds of battle. Maybe he should invest in some soundproofing, Wuju thinks to himself. The screams might scare potential customer away. Suddenly, Jiwook drops a bag of gold coins on the table. The shopkeeper looks like he's desperate for money, so Jiwook makes a deal. He'll buy everything on the table in exchange for a showdown. The stakes are character deletion. Do you know that all merchants in the world risk their lives to do business? Wuju asks. And just like that, it's game on between Wuju and Jiwook. Meanwhile, back in the dungeon. Ah, ruin, someone mutters. It's Sniper Girl. I thought they were powerful enemies. She grumbles, disappointed. But guess what? They're harmless, with an attack power of 0. These guys are pathetic. Sniper Girl continues. They're so weak that you don't get any XP or items when you kill them. She contemplates her options, coming to a bold decision. Her plan? A cozy picnic for just herself and her master. She's giddy with excitement as she waits for Jiwook to catch up. Outside, Wuju and Jiwook are preparing for their duel. Final check, says Jiwook. Are you responsible for the appearance of this dungeon and the disappearance of the ranker Jason? But Wuju's too focused examining the stash of gold. Is it really flawless? He wonders. Defeating a ranker? That's like asking for trouble, potentially turning friends into foes. What's Wuju's real agenda here? Jiwook really wants to know. Well, thinking about it really makes Wooju angry. He decides to step around the topic. Isn't talking a bit unnecessary during a showdown? But Jiwook can't let it go. No! This is important! Are you planning to become a new power and overthrow this current disgusting ranker system? But Wooju's done playing. The command, "Zero, kill him," is chilling. It's a tense face-off with adrenaline pumping, the intention still veiled in shadow. A few seconds pass. But nothing happens. What's this? Didn't Zero hear the call? Zero, what are you doing? Go ahead! Wooju calls again, making silly poking movements. Jiwook's humiliated that he's not taken seriously. If Wooju's so relaxed about it, he's going to go all out from the start. Wooju's getting worried and tries to stall, and offers to resolve things through conversation. Shut up! Jiwook shouts. Down at the employee lounge, Lucia and Zero stand by as Wooju calls. Zero's trying his best to ignore it. But Lucia tells him to stay where he is. This isn't the time for them to step in. Wooju needs to learn his own strength. Zero's trying his best, but it's obvious that he's nearing the end of his rope. Back inside the dungeon, the crew is battling a zombie wyvern. Wild Kiwi has just dealt the final blow, when someone comes up. Sorry I'm late. He just finished dealing with some ogre zombies. They update each other on the abilities of the creatures. Looks like the ogres are the same as those in Goblin Forest. But the zombie wyverns are stronger. The dungeon returns back to normal, as the level has been cleared. The old guy remarks about the dangers of this kind of dungeon. If demons appear, then hell will manifest. Just then, they notice the immense energy coming from the next door. Eyes turn towards that elusive golden armor. No, it seems to be a different kind of presence. What's waiting beyond these doors? Who cares? Just smash everything and it will be fine, Wild Kiwi yells as she breaks down the door. But a look of surprise crosses her face. Who's this interloper? Is he friend or foe? They check out the new dude's appearance. What's up with those jorts? Is he a ghoul? No, he actually looks like a red-eyed goblin. Wild Kiwi is surprised that there was only one goblin. Old dude has a feeling that this one could be an evolved species. Anyway, it's a good time to test out something. He calls for his minion, Silver Demon, who quickly launches an attack. The goblin easily dodges the lightning strike. Silver Demon wonders if his attack was twisted by the wind. But the goblin's on the move already, yelling that such a simple attack won't work on him. The rigidity of species-specific advantages plays out in a game of wits. The other players are surprised that this goblin has power and intelligence. Looks like someone's been training them. The old guy smiles. His minion is actually a grey ogre. Looks like they'll get to see who the better monster is. The final curtain calls for a showdown of wills. A one-on-one, head-to-head. Goblin versus ogre. But Wild Kiwi's not interested. She's got her eyes set on the grand prize. The golden armor awaits. The old guy points to a door that seems to be a boss fight. Boss fight? Now she's hyped up, looking to dive straight into the action. But wait, there's a weird door to the side of the main door. Old guy senses something's off and suggests they should split up. Wild Kiwi's all fired up. Is old guy shaking in his boots because it's a boss fight? Whatever. Old guy's not scared. He's just more interested in what's behind the other door. But then, the goblin calls him a fool. You go through that door, you're toast, buddy. Oh, has a goblin mastered language? A voice booms. Old guy suddenly got the goblin enveloped in a ball of fire. The power's too strong for the goblin. He's stuck to the ground. The warning echoes. Speak without knowing your place and it could be your downfall. He asks Wild Kiwi for permission to go through the other door. She stares blankly at him. Whatever, she'll just take the golden armor for herself then, as they both go their own ways. She's now at the door, and it looks bigger than usual. She's trying to pry the door open, when someone interrupts. It's the goblin. Turns out, he's the gatekeeper of that door. It will only open if they defeat him. Yet Kiwi's on fire, no door can resist her might. She shockingly pushes the door open with raw power, shocking the goblin. And the old guy has left too. Oh well, nothing the goblin can do. Now nothing can stop his master now. Meanwhile, they're back to the showdown. How dare you ignore your opponent? The ogre thunders. The goblin's annoyed about getting ignored. Don't they know that he's the strongest in Goblin Forest? While all this claims to fame contest is on, the old guy emerges through this glowing portal. Turns out, this Goblin Forest feels eerily genuine, not a dungeon facade. He comes across a kid seated on a ledge. Is this kid the portal guide or just some gatekeeper? Blood Demon turns around, and wonders where this tiny creature came from? Old guy chuckles. He's never seen someone with such power in a tiny vessel. Old guy declares that he's more powerful. Oh, did they just judge Blood Demon because he was sitting down? Insults fly, each trying to provoke each other. Looks like I'll have to teach this irritating brat the manners of the martial world, old guy says as he powers up. Martial world? We all know how much Blood Demon hates those guys, so bring it on. The scene shifts to another part of this game world. We're kicking off at Riddle Village, at the North God's blacksmith. Inside, there's a sword glowing like it's fresh out of the forge. Good, someone mutters. We meet M. Balanzo himself, ranked number 6 and a known weapon maker. Turns out he can sense that his crew is close to getting the golden armor, but they don't have it yet. Someone questions why such an important task would be handed to them. His team, Balanzo's hands, as it seems, are just made up of washed-up players. Enter Ninja Husky, known as Poppy, ranked number 4. Balanzo reassures that although the group appears weak, they're not just any old swords, thanks to Balanzo's refining. They are strong enough to battle most of the top players. Now, cut back to some fiery action. The old guy is feeling somehow provoked. Standing on a cliff, he taunts with a smug. Are you angry? His opponent, smaller in size, mocks him back, talking about his shoddy footwork. But the old guy, exuding some serious power, tells him to keep talking. And boom! He's off with a move called Thunderbolt Step, leaving a trail of pure speed. But Blood Demon is unfazed. You misjudged your opponent. I will enjoy your energy, he declares. His adversary doesn't look thrilled, eyes wide open in realization. Old guy figures out his vital energy is getting absorbed. Did you absorb my vital chi? He questions. Turns out, this technique is what drew him to the Rainbow Gate in the first place. He formally greets his opponent, and asks for a fighting match with him. Surprise! Old guy introduces himself as an 8-year-old genius who is a superfan of the martial arts genre, and reveals his ID, Heavenly Demon. What? That face is an 8-year-old's? Blood Demon exclaims in shock. Heavenly Demon is all about Murimwe, blurting incomprehensible things about martial arts. Heavenly Demon wants to cut to the chase and fight. But first, a question, did he face the Red Goblin before going through the Rainbow Gate? Ah yes, the goblin with awkward speech. Blood Demon explains that he just started to speak properly, and will get better soon. Full of excitement, Blood Demon grabs Heavenly Demon's arm and wants to know if his student was a worthy opponent. Old guy Heavenly Demon replies that he had him spar with his own pupil. But he's sure about one thing now. I'm taller than you, even when you're on tiptoes, teases the old guy. Lightning crackles around Blood Demon. He kicks away, feeling unimpressed. Pathetic, he lets slip. So, old guy Heavenly Demon didn't even defeat his student? What a great disappointment. But why make a fuss about this? Old guy asks. Blood Demon isn't done. If you haven't surpassed my pupil, I won't go easy on you. You have to pass my test first. Old guy cries out. You're refusing a sparring match? That's too much. Passing the test comes first, declares Blood Demon. Suddenly, we're hit with the formation of 10 ghosts, infinite array. A goblin? Stammers the old guy, slightly surprised that Blood Demon contains so many of them. But with power divided among so many, old guy is confident in taking the victory. First, he's gonna break this strange goblin formation. We cut back to outside the door, where Jort's goblin is battling the ogre. His sharp instincts kick in, but he's definitely feeling the cuts. The ogre stands there, wielding his weapon, talking about the sensation. The goblin stares curiously at his weapon. That doesn't feel like a normal blow. The ogre smugly explains that the weapon was embedded with vital chi, it's an ability bestowed by his master. Oh, it can take free form too. Check out the lion's armor. The goblin tosses his weapon away. The discarded weapon spells confusion. Is he surrendering? Nope, but that vital chi is dangerous, the goblin declares. Jort's goblin has a flashback of training with his master, teaching him about internal energy and how to control it within his limits. Maximum output can be your doom unless it's a truly dangerous moment. Truly dangerous moment, echoes the goblin. A surge of light bursts forth. Everyone's wide-eyed, the place practically shimmering with energy. You can handle powerful chi? The opponents seem awestruck. But it's reckless for a goblin to take it this far. Yet the goblin is undeterred. Reckless, you say? As a massive attack is charged up. I don't want to hear that from an ogre. He thunders, unleashing his power move. Giant will-o'-the-wisps. Meanwhile, a giant gleaming yellow eye opens. Things are getting intriguing, a creature remarks. Down in the dust, there's a tense standoff. The opponent's massive, almost a boss-level monster. Seriously, was something this huge ever in the game before? And it's not just for show, it's the Nightmare Coordinator, no less. The beast acknowledges how far the challenger has come. It's willing to let them speak before the final showdown. A courteous creature, this one. But our wild Kiwi shoots back with some sass. Final words? You're really laying it on thick. Oh. The topic turns to the golden armor, a legendary relic said to grant endless recovery. The creature claims it's the keeper of this precious armor, trusted by none other than Kim Wooju himself. He doubts there will be a need to open the box. But Wild Kiwi? She's all cocky smiles, waving off concerns. No need to worry, she says, because she's taken this game to the top. No monster can stand in her way. A slit opens in her forehead and a little blue creature emerges. Zap! The little guy sends tendrils of lightning out. There's a cool logic here. Being large just makes you a bigger target. And this foe? It's about to be served up on a silver platter for a village feast. A little overconfident maybe. The creature pauses, sensing the electricity climbing up its legs. Wild Kiwi's on a roll, before it can launch a counterattack. Lock! A yellow creature emerges from one of Wild Kiwi's eyes, and a lock icon appears before the beast. Talk about combining lightning damage over time and time stopping. It's wild. And what's this? They're wielding the pass hammer from M. Balanso, designed to pierce through any armor. Doesn't matter how big a monster's health pool is, it's useless against this weapon. Kiwi smashes through without a hitch. Layer upon layer of damage quickly unfolds. Lightning, time stop, critical hits, it's all there. The beast admires such skillful use of multiple abilities. What a promising talent. There's a hint of nostalgia as Wild Kiwi remembers that she was a promising athlete even outside the game. If it hadn't been for that thing. She was diagnosed with cancer, and it was discovered in the later stages. The very affliction that held her back gave her strength in the game. The secret behind her power were those limited edition keys that grant special character traits to its users. Those wielding keys? They hold the world in their hands. But let's be clear, this is far from over. Kiwi's abilities are just starting to fire up. Another little guy, strength enhancement, kicks in, a serious game changer. In this game, there's nothing I can't do, yells Wild Kiwi, as she goes in for the finishing blow. Alright, time for another flashback to 2 years ago at a bustling school. Kiwi is scolding her brother for using their mom's card again. Her brother threatens to call it school violence and reporting her. This kid's got a habit of buying in-game items, and the Kiwi's had enough, arguing he should exercise instead. The sibling spat is daily news for bystanders and envy adds some spice to the scene. This younger brother is a top-ranked pro gamer in the game, Another World. And the older sister is a promising national sports team prospect. Then, back to the game world, Wild Kiwi dashes up the creature with crazy speed and agility. She rises to confront the final boss. Then, she activates the virus stat buff system. The little guys activate all at once and buffs pop up like they're on sale: electrical surge, time freeze, strength enhancement. With this arsenal, Kiwi's feeling unstoppable, boasting there's no monster she can't take down now. The monster remarks that she's quite a promising talent, handling several skills simultaneously. Kiwi's coming in for the attack, wielding the weapon called Pass Hammer, which has the additional effect of ignoring all armor, and with her freeze time virus, she can freeze a single target for 10 seconds. Think about all the damage I can inflict during that time, she crows. How foolish. Do you really think a mere human's attack can affect me? The monster thunders. Well, you won't know until you get hit. So get ready to take a beating, Kiwi shouts. She smashes into the monster with all her strength. Suddenly, seeing the passion burning in Kiwi's eyes, he's reminded of memories from long time ago. The older beast reminisces on eons, searching for meaning amidst chaotic battles with other primordial beings. Even when nations were destroyed and millions of lives lost, he could still not find any meaning. He muses that he's a divine beast. This attack does not mean anything to him. Kiwi's facing literal divinity here, and she's gotta keep doubts out of his mind. What's this? Why is the electrical surge skill suddenly unstable? Is this supposed to be a lightning attack? The beast rumbles. He's faced gods of thunder before, and this is nothing compared to them. The little blue guy throws up blood, defeated. Time stop? He is an immortal being, he already lives in a state of suspended time. It's illogical to think that Kiwi's power can stop his movements. The little yellow dude is also defeated. The beast questions if Wild Kiwi is the one who is capable of giving meaning to him. Guys, are you really dead? Kiwi checks on the little dudes. The divine beast muses that it was only Kim Wooju who was able to provide meaning. With a single strike, Kim Wooju was able to reduce his immortal being into nothingness, and enclosing him in a ball, as if knowing when his day of resurrection would come. Kim Wooju is truly an omnipotent being. He looks back on the day he was released from the ball. Kim Wooju knew his secret name. Cody of the Nightmare. Given to him by a boy with an incurable disease. How did you know such details? Cody asks in surprise, not realizing that he was one of the characters in Wooju's dad's novel. A pivotal moment. He's declared the final boss, and his mission is the protection of the golden armor. Wrapped up in existential musings, at last, this divine being's purpose is finally revealed to him as the absolute guardian of treasure, and Kim Woo-ju was an absolute being so much more powerful than him. But wait! The scene shifts abruptly back to Woo-ju, who's struggling to deal with this one-on-one battle through conversation. Gi-wook attacks with unyielding focus, declaring no room for complacency. He won't let his guard down. He knows how powerful Woo-ju is because his daggers, David and Goliath, were rare items that won't break easily. Gi-wook won't let it come to blows, if possible. He charges with his blade aimed right for Woo-ju, going for a vicious, heart-piercing strike. Woo-ju is taken aback. He gasps, realizing he's in deep trouble. Just as things heat up, he shouts, "Just kidding, cancel!" and teleports mid-fight. Woo-ju is left confused as Gi-wook flawlessly executes his rising snake move, then again canceling at the last second. Amidst the chaos, Woo-ju is blinded by sand and dust, struggling to open his eyes. He breathes in a bit of the dust, and it tickles his nose. Gi-wook seizes this chance. The unintended sandstorm creates an opening, and his special move Killing Tornado erupts in full force. The situation escalates with a massive, swirling vortex threatening to destroy Woo-ju and his merchant stand. Woo-ju feels overwhelmed, feeling a sneeze coming. Then, achoo! A giant sneeze from Woo-ju unleashes a powerful blast, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. It launches Gi-wook skyward, and he's in absolute shock. He spirals upwards, losing control and screaming in disbelief. "What is this?" echoes through the void, as Gi-wook faces an unanticipated twist, his daggers floating around him in zero gravity. He coughs, struggling to cancel his teleport, knowing they messed with someone dangerously potent. Realizing just how perilously strong Woo-ju's powers are, they dreadfully regret challenging him. But this crafty player had set up a sneaky teleport point right under Woo-ju's feet. "The real battle begins now," he says, but wait a sec, he senses something with him. He turns around to see Lucia and Zero. "Who are you?" Gi-wook demands. Lucia calls out the audacity of his question, and Gi-wook wonders if these might be minions of the dungeon master. The tension spikes as he tries to grasp the gravity of the situation. Lucia and Zero stare at the intruder with looks that could kill. However, Gi-wook's existence still has meaning. He's still a customer, after all. The warning rings out. "Get out of here immediately." Back up top, Woo-ju's gasping. "Oh, that was close." Reflecting on his sneeze fiasco, he chuckles, realizing how it nearly tore the dungeon apart. But where did his mysterious foe go? Woo-ju looks around, as Gi-wook materializes in front of him. "You've planted your minions down there, haven't you?" Gi-wook exclaims. His enemy seems aware of his crewmates Lucia and Zero, so he quickly dismisses them as useless. But Woo-ju questions Gi-wook if he saw that person with black hair and a red scarf, who was ignoring his orders. "I envy them," Gi-wook mutters. They seemed like powerful minions, yet Woo-ju treated them like leftover items in a dungeon. No, actually, they aren't items. Zero alone could wipe out a whole area on the map, like Bipedal Snowfield. Gi-wook continues that he envies Woo-ju's power as well. Just a single sneeze could send an enemy to space like that. "Alright, I've made up my mind," he resolves. "I'm so envious, so I'll take it," Gi-wook declares. Then he screams, "I'll steal your body! The whole thing!" as he rips off his clothes and runs straight for Woo-ju, fully naked. "Hand it over now!" Gi-wook screams, charging forwards, devoid of any clothing whatsoever. Back in the real world, Woo-ju's yells could be heard throughout the apartment. "Are you a perv? Why are you stripping in the middle of a showdown?" Woo-ju cringes. As expected of being in the customer service industry, sometimes you have to deal with crazy people. But then, he gets an evil look on his face. He talks about his business plan, figuring this madness might just be the new normal for him. Then, it gets wild. This audacious Gi-wook declares he will have it all. Kim Woo-ju stands his ground, a little shaky but sure he's done nothing wrong. He's gonna send him flying with a shockwave. Gi-wook dives into what he thinks is an awesome power, a sneeze that could launch him into space. But he noticed how Woo-ju subconsciously lifted his head when he sneezed, trying to avoid hurting the earth. He utilizes this technique called White Swallow brushes Gangnam ground, and whirls across the floor. He challenges Woo-ju, can his opponent really throw a punch while running so close to the ground? Woo-ju's worried. He's been read like a book. Looks like this dude isn't just a pervert, but a smart pervert. "I finally caught you," announces Gi-wook, closing in on Kim Woo-ju, capturing him in a hold. Before the game became purely skill-based, he was the best at making crafty bug plays. "Exploiting bugs or unintended interactions in playstyle is the epitome of mechanical outplay," he rambles. And because of overpowered players like Woo-ju, the game was robbed of any real challenge. Woo-ju reminds him that his playstyle of exploiting bugs was problematic too. The naked leader reminisces about the days when bug exploits ruled. He recalls a bug when players shared the exact same coordinates, and the cancel teleport command was used. Kim Woo-ju couldn't care less about such exploits. Gi-wook doesn't let it slide though and prepares to demonstrate his point. He executes the command teleport cancel and account change in quick succession. The confused leader wonders what just happened. Kim Woo-ju is unfazed, declaring it was just a bug. But wait, it's not Kim Woo-ju anymore but Gi-wook. He's gloating about making the right choice, taking over this body. Are you kidding me? After I worked so hard to become dungeon owner, you swap me into this broke pervert? Woo-ju screams. Things aren't going as planned. Gi-wook realizes Woo-ju's got barely any money in his account too. Gi-wook flaunts his account balance, 7.3 billion in gold, shocking Woo-ju. And he's got over 99 rare and expensive items in his inventory. But this isn't a cheat, it's all hard-earned. Well, did you change your mind? A devious Gi-wook smiles, as Woo-ju goes over his inventory, still incredulous over all the expensive items in it. Woo-ju's like, there's no way this can be real. But if it is real, someone's about to cash in. Meanwhile, in the employee lung, Lucia finds this greedy face disturbingly attractive, but knows this conversation's turning dangerous for her. She orders Zero to go. No more restraint needed, it's time to join the party. Zero bursts forth, ready to assist his master, proudly showing that he's now charged up to 3 stars. Gi-wook recognizes Zero from earlier. Welcome, now congratulate me on my new body. But wait, Zero stares at Woo-ju's body curiously. Something's not right. At that moment, the sniper girl comes out from the dungeon. She got tired of waiting and is now looking for her boss. She's confronted by the sight of Gi-wook, comically counting his treasures. She reacts in shock. Wait, this is their boss? Next, we zoom back to Goblin Forest, where another battle is unfolding. Old Dude Heavenly Demon mocks the enemy's hopelessness. It's shocking that such a seemingly dull race can organize such synchronized strikes. He's thinking of a strategy to deal with this mob. The Goblin waves weave a relentless formation, testing every bit of resilience. Old Dude is quite impressed. Blood Demon watches all this. His Goblin formation will only spin faster and faster. What's Old Dude gonna do about that? But instead of fear, there's pure excitement. With a dizzying display of lasers, skills reach a crescendo in the heat of the battle. Old Dude wants to keep the fight going, savoring the thrill of the clash. It's an impressive feat, really. Maybe he should take up monster taming too. Suddenly, the Old Dude flies into the air. He decided to escape to the air? Blood Demon grin. That's great news, as the Goblin's rotation is unrestricted in the air. Old Dude charges upwards, creating a stunning display of mystical power. But it looks like he has a plan. Up there, he has a better view, and starts hunting for weak links. His target? The least experienced fighter. It always comes down to that one crack in the armor. Chubby face! You idiot! Blood Demon screams, as he realizes Old Dude's plan. The arena shifts as he unleashes Hypergravity Compression Blast. The ground trembles as the technique hits the formation at its weakest point. The goblins prepare for impact. But it never comes. Turns out, Blood Demon has stepped in and stopped the attack. A commander taking up frontline formation? You're disqualified, declares Old Dude. Blood Demon calls him out. But wasn't he also aiming the blast in Blood Demon's direction as well? He dismisses the goblins, promising more training later, especially for Chubby Face. Blood Demon readies a fitting reward for the troublemaker who broke the formation. Grabbing him with an unyielding grip, Old Dude finds himself surprised when he can't shake Blood Demon off. Blood Demon's ticked off, but not over the broken formation's disarray, more like, generally annoyed. A bit of a height joke slips in, suggesting milk as a growth option, a classic. And as usual, Blood Demon's patience runs thin. He just wants this annoying adversary gone. He fires off a blood soul injection, making Old Dude's bones bend and warp. Caught in a true energy battle, Old Dude contemplates if this isn't something he always wanted, a wuxia fan's dream. But there's that sense of hiding his true strength too long, time to let loose. Spirals of energy whirl around, threatening to shred him to pieces. The conundrum is life or death, live and risk dying, or embrace death to live. If I try to live, I will die. If I try to die, I will live! Old Dude cries out, as the intensity spikes towards a gut-wrenching scream, sending an explosion towards his adversary. Blood Demon is surprised at how his foes stayed strong despite this blood soul injection. That mystical martial technique now lies dismantled, setting the stage for what looks like a final showdown. There's a grim realization, their next clash may end this all. Vowing to pour everything he's got into this battle, Old Dude's determined to crush his opponent. Your likes help Benza make more juicy content. Go on and hit that bell icon. Peace and I'm out.